Show me how to do it, y'all. I believe. Say it, say it. I believe you. I trust. Come on. In you. Oh Lord. Jehovah, you. Where y'all at? Come on, come on. I trust in you. I believe. Say it. I believe. You are the God of miracles. You are the God of miracles. You are the God of wonder. You are the God of wonder. You so long. Hey, so long. Yeah, so long. Goodbye to my trouble. Goodbye to my pain, y'all. Somebody wave me bye-bye. Somebody wave me bye-bye. You ain't welcome here. You ain't welcome here. Goodbye to my trouble. Goodbye to my pain, y'all. I can't hear you up there. Somebody raise it up, say. Somebody raise it up, say. You are the God of miracles, say. You are the God of miracles. Ah, you are the God of wonders. You are the God of wonders. Thank you. We cast our care upon you. For you carry us. That's what we can say. I believe. I believe, say it. I believe. Where my islanders? Can some of y'all run down here to the front real quick? I gotta know who's in the building. Where my islanders? I need y'all to run down here. Come on, let me see ya. Come on, Jehovah, say it. Jehovah, you. Say it. I trust in you. In you. Say it, y'all. Jehovah. Jehovah, you. I trust. Say it. I trust. Show me how to do it, y'all. In you. I believe. Say it, say it. I believe.
The Ground Report with Mickie K, Andy Williams, and Lennox Smith.
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good morning to all and sundry, east, west, north, south, central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. Yes, this is of course, no doubt, and positively the Wednesday edition of the Ground Report. And of course, yours truly at the helm. But of course, Andy will join us momentarily from the way he has been, of course, conducting the program over the last 2 days in particular. One would say that this man has fully recovered from what we have been hearing or what you have been told last week. But of course, that is the level of dedication. It is the level of commitment. It is the level of nationalistic zeal that, of course, has imbued not just the Ground Report, but certainly you too, because of course we expect, excuse me, on a daily basis for you to, of course, absorb the information that we would be, of course, be engaged in on a daily basis, in Trinidad and Tobago, and therefore beaming to you from the studios of the Ground Report, and therefore, of course, you look on Real Media TT, of course, carried on Real Media TT, carried on, of course, on the Corridor Transformation, and of course, the workers' rights platform. Yes, indeed. This morning, no exception, except briefly, I would want to, of course, engage in the latest development as far as that matter is concerned. But as Andy rightly said yesterday and the day before, and as we have concluded, that these are not distractions. These are actually what I consider to be building blocks or additional cogs in the wheel of incompetence, impotence, and the argument, supporting the argument that the PNM is toxic. Rowley and the PNM, Stuart Young and Rowley and the PNM are toxic politically, they are toxic economically, they are toxic sociologically, and as far as exemplary behavior and conduct is concerned, the toxicity knows no boundary. So let us get that clear, so that when, of course, these new addendums emanating from the continued faux pas, misrepresentation, misinformation, disinformation, incompetence, impotence, and rank and unadulterated corruption, nepotism, and cronyism, we are making the case for you to be for it to be indelibly implanted in your minds, and that of course we provide the sustained ability to understand that we have one course of action to not just respond, but to remedy, but to ameliorate our circumstances by getting rid of the PNM as an entity and all that is associated with it. And that is where we are at, and that has been, of course, the forte, the portfolio, the intent, the position of the ground report and other elements. So whether it be the observer, whether it be, of course, the corridor transformation and others who have followed, of course, the route and the path and now have decided to get on board, whether it was a little later than normal, whether later than what we expected. But at the end of the day, and at the end of 10 years, we have, of course, come to a common conclusion, and that is the toxicity and the existential threat to Trinidad and Tobago by the Rowley, Stuart Young now, PNM administration. All of them must now find themselves losing their deposits when, of course, they try to let you believe somehow that they are viable for Trinidad and Tobago moving forward. We are saying all of these circumstances exponentially as they increase in terms of their deterioration and their callous conduct manifesting itself in a greater degree of intensity as they come to the end of their political life. It's something like what is called a shooting star. When a star has to, of course, come to the end of its energy existence, it suddenly glows and then, of course, goes into what I consider to be dormancy. A dormancy probably is a term that suggests that it is a temporary one. So let's say extinction. Extinction may be the better term and should be the better term in the case of the PNM. We have seen enough over the last 10 years to know that the entire PNM edifice has been converted to a criminal enterprise of a mafia nature as described by Rowley in terms of his definition of a mafia enterprise organization. Let us not waste time with that. And therefore our focus must continue to be any element, any nuance, any feature that would, of course, enhance and sustain our commitment to national development transformation and the understanding and acceptance that the only vehicle politically under the Constitution that could take us into the future with a high degree of assurance and optimism is that of Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC. Let us not waste time with that. And therefore, the context of Trinidad, 39 seats. Lavantil, you better get the Lavantils. You better don't disappoint yourselves and the nation on this occasion. 39 seats. Nothing less. And there could be nothing more. Nothing less, but there could be nothing more. And of course, in the case of Tobago, it is almost a fait accompli that the PNM will have already become extinct in Tobago. So whether you want to call it incremental, you want to call it a process over time, the fact of the matter is that the existence of the PNM to manage the affairs of this country moving forward, I say moving forward from the specific context that right now Trinidad and Tobago is operating on autopilot. They will be going all over the place, as we have seen in Marugal recently, to cut ribbon for projects that are ill-fated, that will go the route of Naikwan. And don't tell me you don't know what Naikwan is all about, because Rowley went, of course, and said that it is the latest and greatest. He said that nowhere in the Western Hemisphere has a program like that. He said, of course, that you're going to take, of course, the diesel and turn it into, of course, a fuel that are environmentally friendly. And that what he didn't tell us is that, of course, the government invested, of course, through the acquisition of Republic Bank over several $100 million US dollars in order to make that happen. And there is a kind of gas associated or allocated to the Minister of Energy. They take that gas, government gas in other words, and pump it into that project. And after that, 2 weeks afterwards, the entire thing blow up. And as if, of course, to suggest that there's some satanic involvement in this whole process, it blew up a second time and caused the death of a Nilagmasi worker. And yes, I talk about Naikwan, because they say it's the best thing since sliced bread for the economy. And of course, as Stuart Long said recently, making the excuse, and we will deal with that in a little more detail because we have more information, that purchasing bunker fuel from the Jamaican oil refinery, let me say that slowly and read my lips. Purchasing bunker fuel or marine fuel or fuel for marine purposes from a Jamaican oil refinery or from the Jamaican oil refinery is part of the diversification efforts of the PNM. And of course, as if to add insult to injury, it tells us that it's part of Trinidad and Tobago's commitment to CARICOM, as if we care, as if it is in our interest, as if they have acted in our interest as far as CARICOM is concerned. No, red herring, old talk. We have to focus and let this government understand that the people understand what they are all about. It is all about gaslighting. It is all about manipulating the goodwill that the traditional voters, based on history and relations with the PNM, particularly along the East-West corridor, the African community, that they have exploited and gerrymandered, of course, the various seats along the East-West corridor to achieve a particular outcome, and that is to say in their favor, so that they could stay there only for power purposes and then disappoint. The goodwill, the loyalty of the electorate along the East-West corridor must be dismantled and distance itself from the PNM. You must not allow yourselves to be called vote banks. You must not allow Balize House to believe that they could put a crapo in a Balize tie along the corridor, and of course of a similar ilk in places like Labre and Point Fortin, crossing of course the Caroni, and of course ended up in Deep South. But the reality is that the psychology, the political psychology that the PNM has, of course, created in the minds of persons who traditionally have voted and supported the PNM. They must now understand that the PNM is not only toxic, is not only bad news, but have betrayed that trust that was reposed in them, and therefore are unworthy of course, our votes. Unworthy. From Chagaramas in the west to Toko in the east, and all over the country, we must understand that the PNM has, of course, not just betrayed, it's not just toxic, but must be relegated to the dustbin of political history in this country based on their maladministration, based on their attempts, of course, to hoodwink, gaslight, and deceive, and at the same time line their respective pockets on whom or with whom or for whom they prefer and rather. And we must stand there as innocent bystanders to this kind of betrayal. Perfidious is the term. And they expect that, like lamb to the slaughter, we will go and vote for them because they want to concoct this racial bias or this racial baiting that they have consistently pulled out of the cap. Whether it be, of course, people saying, as Wowley did, that he no monkey. He no monkey. And that, of course, bananas are for monkeys. And that, of course, turned over 65,000 persons in the southwestern peninsula that were negatively affected by the closure of Petrotrin and that oil refinery. Oh gosh, Rowley, you are a dangerous man. And people must understand the level of deception and the level of conmanship and the level of trickery that is reposed in the bottomless pit of evil propaganda to, of course, dominate and control the resources and the people of Trinidad and Tobago. You give them another occasion and they will simply go home and sleep comfortable and just smile all the way to the banks and back into office, in these offices, to continue their pernicious ways and say that Trinidad and Tobago are suckers for punishment. And that therefore they will unveil because they have a Machiavellian agenda. Machiavelli, as you would know, wrote the political principle in that book called, of course, The Prince, or For the Prince, when, of course, he says, as the PNM practices, abuse for a certain period, neglect for a certain period, and when near to election time, you then, of course, unfold or deliver or open the valve to, of course, hoodwink by delivering. And that must, of course, cover all of the evil for the better part of 5 years. And that you must go religiously and vote for the Balize. Not this occasion. Not this occasion. You see, there is a limit to, of course, human tolerance. In commerce, it is called shelf life. The shelf life of such a devious, evil, wicked, diabolical, and unsavory conduct can only last so long. And don't tell me you don't understand what I'm talking about, because the people who comprise the population of Germany, leading up, of course, to the commencement of World War II in 1939, but in the late 20s and the early 30s and the mid 30s, 36 and 37, 38, the people of Germany felt that Hitler was the best thing since sliced bread. He was able, of course, to hoodwink them into believing that Germany will be great. The same talk that Rowley gives us when he told us in 2020, give him 2 years of hardship after the 2020 elections. Well, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, hardship still. And has the audacity, the temerity, the gall, and the effrontery in 2024, having not delivered the anesthesia, having not delivered the hope and the aspirations of the people as described and as the pulse of the population would have caused them to dictate the need, of course, to have a breathing space, to have less taxes, to have a quality of life and quality of living that we have aspired for and have grown accustomed to prior to, of course, the advent of the PNM and Rowley in 2015. In other words, between 2010 and 2015, in particular, the life of the quality of life of the people of Trinidad and Tobago under Kamala Persad-Bissessar, the UNC, it was Rowley who admitted that you had to be a fool if you believe that under his administration, things would have been better compared to Kamala Persad-Bissessar. In other words, when the question was posed to him whether or not the population or the population fared better under the UNC or the PNM, he said you had to be a fool not to be better off under Kamala Persad-Bissessar between 2010 and 2015, because milk and honey was flowing then. That's what he said. Just as how we confess that, of course, they have failed as far as crime and criminality is concerned in this country. He said it, I'm not going to be vexed before we played this morning, you know. Because that is what he said. And he said in no uncertain terms, and even if I paraphrase, the essence of it is clear. He said in no uncertain terms that they failed on crime early in the game, early in their administration, around 2016, 2017, they failed. And that no matter how much money they put, they failed. And of course, took the moral position which we must now adhere to as a population and as a voting community, or the voting community, or those that can vote. In other words, those that are 18 and over, and I expect that all the young people who have turned 18 between last year and now, this year, that they would, of course, go and make arrangements to get their ID cards ready, because that is the basis on which you can vote. And just like the lotto, you do not have a chance if you do not have a ticket, at least, and therefore your ticket in this case is, of course, your ID cards, and therefore you must get it registered, because the country you have to save of necessity from the PNM is your own, and therefore your future. But the point I am making is that they have exchanged our goodwill our loyalty, and give us, of course, pain, ache, agony, taxes, etc. And of course, a quality of life that was never anticipated and of course contradictory to what they told us, because it was only in and just before, of course, the 2015 general elections told us that if you wake up on the 8th of September, because the election would have been the 7th of September 2015, if you wake up on the 8th of September and your circumstances are the same, meaning that you're still under the rule of the UNC, or the UNC would have won the elections, you'll be doing yourself an injustice, and therefore give him a chance. And therefore, the utopia that he promised has turned out to be not just an anticlimax, but has turned out to be a dystopia, the opposite of utopia. Utopia, of course, is good living, voluptuous living, tolerable living. But when you would deliver dystopia, it's harassment, pain, ache, agony, stress, as a result, of course, of maladministration and misappropriation of our resources, policies, etc., etc. So that when he said that it was blissful living under Kamala Prasad Bisesa between 2010 and 2015, that at least could be verified by the experiences of the day, or of those days, or of those years. And conversely, even though he's telling us, wait for the future came and went. I tell you that he said in his victory speech, questionable as it was, in 2020, give him 2 years. 2 years came and went. He comes back, of course, in 2024 to, of course, declare the 2024-25 budget and tell us wait until 2027. Another 2 years. So he continues to make a fool of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And I say to the Lavantills, be part of the history and in the right place on this occasion. You have no choice. The PNM is toxic, and they have a leadership that is as immutable like a scent, can't change, or as constant as the Northern Star, or as, of course, obvious as when day gives way to night, and vice versa. Do not to be left out. Do not disappoint yourselves, your children, and your children's children. And most importantly, do not disappoint Trinidad and Tobago. Be on the right side of history. 39 seats for the UNC and Kamala Prasad Bisesa must be the objective. And every single constituency and every elector who has the right, therefore, to vote must get out there and vote, because that too will assure that the ability or the propensity or the opportunity to steal the elections will be highly unlikely. The ability to steal the elections by the PNM, highly unlikely, because everybody, if it's 20 persons in a constituency and 20 voted, and the ballots ended up being 21 or 22, we know what has transferred, particularly in what is now called, of course, the marginal seats. That is where they will go. But we must surprise them, we must disappoint them in what they consider to be their traditional voter bank along the east-west corridor. As I said, from Chagaramas in the west to Toko in the east. That is what, and every single constituency in between. Because over the years, they have influenced the EBC, and they have, of course, through that mechanism, gerrymandered so that there is a high degree of concentration, almost a third of the constituencies along the east-west corridor, where, of course, they believe that they can manipulate, and as I said, that they could gaslight and hoodwink, and therefore condition the population there to believe that somehow 5 years is an eternity, and therefore you mustn't change, and you must of course stick with what you have. Well, Rowley has taken away, has minus that singular thread that keeps, of course, the African community attached to the PNM. And what is that? By anointing Stuart Young to be head of the PNM and become prime minister. So we know that that is about Rowley indirectly or vicariously wanting, of course, to remain dominant and to keep the east-west corridor in and in the corner of the PNM. And we must, of course, note that. And why am I saying that? And where is the example? Well, apart from 1986 and the decimation of the PNM, so there is precedent for that. But this time, of course, there must be a clean sweep into the opposition camp. They must be totally eradicated. I'm talking about the PNM here. And support, of course, should now be transferred to the UNC and Kamala Prasad Bisasa. Where is the additional precedent closer to recent times? Because there are those who believe that the PNM is infallible, that they have a propaganda and therefore an election machinery that is second to none. I want to tell you that in contemporary times, just as it was in 1986, and the situation, in my view, is even worse than the circumstances that led to the consummate and absolute defeat of the PNM in 1986. What is the contemporary or the present or the recent example that they are merely operating on propaganda and that it is a fallacy, in other words, that the PNM is unbeatable? Well, Tobago. Tobago! They told Tobagonians in the first instance that gave them a clean sweep, that of course a Calcutta ship, a mysterious, enigmatic, and elusive Calcutta ship is coming for them. And they voted out any notion of connection to the UNC. And of course, at that time, it was top. In fact, Rowley went on to say that at one time it was top, but now it's the bottom. That is how, of course, how perversive this man thinking is. Talking about bottom, and of course, golf course, and hyenas in the African jungle, and that woman who, of course, unfortunately, would have had men in relationship with themselves, beating them, flagellating them, abusing them. And then he says to them, listen, I can't tell you a man to take. And of course, I'm not in your bedroom. Victim bashing. Victim bashing. And in all places, he said that in Maloney, along the east-west corridor, the place that, of course, has been loyal to the PNM for all of these decades. And you're telling me you don't understand that you have an opportunity by way of just your index finger to, of course, get rid of and render extinct these people. So I say to you, reference to Tobago, is it that Tobago knows something that we in Trinidad don't know? Well, I say no. We know the same damn thing. It's just that we have been so damn loyal, and the propaganda machinery of the PNM is designed only to reinforce that. And don't tell me you don't understand the purpose of the banana. And of course, I know monkey. And this monkey that feed banana, I know what I mean. Race baiting. That is what they will come with. That is what they will come with. And let me tell you something. When that would have failed, race baiting, and there is precedent for that as well. When, of course, Robinson was Prime Minister, and therefore, they couldn't use race. They couldn't use race on that occasion in the 1991 general elections. Rowley and, of course, Manning couldn't use race. So what they use? Yes, they use the propaganda of religion, of superstition. Yeah. And tell us that Robinson put a dragon on the Red House. Don't forget that, man. So race couldn't work there because Robinson represented, of course, the same race-baiting agenda of the PNM in terms of who should be at the helm of the PNM because they were touting the PNM to be a black man or African party, and therefore, when they realized that that couldn't work, they then, of course, used superstition and utilize, of course, the Baptist community in particular. I'm still disappointed that they were so gullible. But I'm sure now, having regard, of course, to the actions of Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke in particular, and she led the fight. And now, of course, the African community can, of course, based on their indigenous religion, call the Shouter Baptists. We now have, of course, not only the Shouter Baptist Learning Institute, but we also have, of course, the St. Barbara's Primary School, government-assisted primary school. We also have, of course, the St. Barbara's Early Child Care Center right up there, apart from land. And, of course, the ambition is to, of course, get a secondary school for the Shouter Baptist community that is African-based, as well as, of course, a hospice or a hospital dedicated to the African community. And that came as a result of the divesting and, of course, eliminating the notion and the propaganda and the brainwashing, if you want to call it that, and the conditioning of the African community to believe that all of your problems will be solved with a party that, of course, attaches itself to the African community. But what they really practice is pseudo-racism. And let me quickly define pseudo-racism, because Basio Pandey was taken to court on that statement that he said of course, a particular journalistic tycoon, if you want to call it that. Yes. And that pseudo-racism is the use of your own race, texture of hair and color of skin to advance your own cause on the backs of your own race or ethnic group. That is what they have done. That is what they plan to do. So therefore, expect, of course, both sides, because when you put Stuart Young there, and therefore to belie the idea that PNM is a African man party, and then try, of course, to make it look as though he is Indian, because you can't say any part of him could be African, but certainly you could argue that, of course, he may be mixed with Indians, as, of course, they have projected to us. Then you as Africans must tell us, well, where is the Africanist symbolization and the propaganda and the ideology that PNM is an African man-oriented party? Where? Because you're saying now that you will put a half Indian who looks like a rank and unadulterated Chinese to head the PNM. Do not fall for it. It is about their own. And what is the own? Their own development, their own abuse and use of the resources of the country in order to advance themselves. And they will be joining us, of course. I will, once again, of course, my apology in terms of the numbers that I was supposed to share with you during and at the end of my presentation this morning. But of course, Andy will do what is required. I know that I should be getting some kind of signal to suggest that, of course, he is in studio and ready to move and, of course, treat with the matters of the country. But let me go by way of existential news. Well, Roger missing workers, family slams Young's comments. Well, he did say that, of course, is unfortunate that that man who disappeared, and I think parts of his remains might have been discovered, and that sunken, of course, platform out in the marine environment of Trinidad. But the fact of the matter is that he said that is normal in such industry and so on, giving the impression that is normal, that is, of course, a par for the course. But of course, Roshi and they are saying, and the families are saying that he was insensitive. He should not, at least on that occasion, mention that, even if it may be so. So, of course, it goes, of course, consistent. Another, of course, Rowley comment that was made by him, insensitive, and of course, outside of what would have been required in such sympathetic circumstance. One had to be a person who is heartless and devoid of compassion to, of course, make such a statement when the families are grieving and the whole country, like in the case, of course, that young lady that was killed in the heights of Aripo, talking about, of course, the Andre Barrett. Yes, indeed. Yes. So that is the situation as it stands. Yes. So we have that development taking place. But let's continue, of course. Foreign Affairs Minister celebrates growing India, Trinidad and Tobago ties. Well, I could do better than that. I have brought the Indian High Commission right around here. I've gotten, of course, you will see on the corridor transformation. Of course, we sent, of course, what one will consider to be students, if you want to call that, or participants to India at the cost of the Indian government for, of course, training and so on. In this case, of course, that Gabriel, you would have seen if you would have looked at the corridor. He was in studio with me on the corridor transformation, of course, and sharing with the world and the nation his exploits, right from, of course, George Street and Nelson Street in Port of Spain, to demonstrate, of course, that there is good, but you have to not only look for it, but you also have to develop it when you find it. And of course, the PNM clearly, having dominated these constituencies and these parts for so many years, have not been able to do a simple thing like that, in my view. So Foreign Affairs Minister celebrates, of course, growing India, Trinidad and Tobago ties. Of course, the Tobago People's Party to interview election nominees on February 6th. So that would be tomorrow. Today, of course, don't forget, there is the confirmation of Benjamin is touted to be, of course, the acting commissioner of police, and a number of issues surrounding that. Don't forget, of course, as well, that the legal representative of Erla Christopher has sent a pre-action protocol letter to the Police Service Commission, but it's very unlikely that they will rescind their decision, only because there is in the public space that even though, of course, the DPP told Suzette Martin and others to get the hence get behind, get out of my face with what you brought as, of course, some kind of complaint or the results of an investigation that is of a criminal nature pertaining, of course, to the legal, right now, the legal, of course, commissioner of police, the substantive commissioner of police, Earl Christopher. What we know is that it is an investigation continuing, and therefore, in such circumstance, the Police Service Commission have a defense as to why they had to suspend her position. But of course, what will transpire in the Parliament today will show that she will be permanently suspended. In other words, effectively fired. And we'll see how that pans out, because of course what the exercise is about a replacement in a situation where there is, of course, a state of emergency, unprecedented. And I said, of course, I did show the circumstances of Randall Burrows, so where, of course, you cannot say, while of course he was, yes, prosecuted, but you cannot say that there is a similar circumstance in that the Scott drug report, consequential of George Chambers, of course, initiating a commission of inquiry. And then, of course, Robinson came in and, of course, decided to act on the reports of the Scott drug report. And thus, of course, Burrows was, of course, charged for misbehavior in public office and a number of other things. I think, of course, whilst he escaped, he won that case. But then there was another matter of a shooting, I think, somewhere along the east-west corridor, where, of course, he was accused of attempted murder. Yes, that far it went. And as a consequence, of course, the rest is history. And he died, of course, a very broken man and a very, of course, disappointed man, having done what he did for Eric Williams and the PNM in the time when such a person was needed. How he did it, of course, had become the subject of human rights and other legal consideration, and for that he had to pay a heavy price. So if you're doing something to remedy a situation, you must do it within the confines of the law. And of course, one expects that would have happened in this case, but clearly it has not, from all the indications, and it is about, of course, people juggling for the position of commissioner of police, believing that somehow they could do a better job. But I tell them that they are entering where angels fear. Many have come, but of course, all have, of course, been repelled, because there's only one way to treat this problem on a sustained basis, because the problem is multifaceted and multidimensional. I talk about crime and criminality, multifaceted and multidimensional, and I'm giving them the benefit of my own, not just experience, but of course my learning as well. And therefore, there is a corresponding response, and that is to say, the response must be multi-dimensional, and of course with a component of real-time assessment and delivery. But of course, at the same time, it is not a law enforcement per se or only problem. It's a societal problem that, as I said, is multifaceted, multidimensional. And the first thing you do, as I've always been touting, is that you solve the Laventil question, you solve at least blue-collar crime in this country. Let me repeat. You solve the Laventil question in this country, and you solve blue-collar crime in this country. Why? Because, of course, many of those who would have been engaged in crime and criminality and engaging in heinous crimes, talking about you get what you want, but you still hit the man a gun butt, or you still shoot him, as the case may be, or you beat them, as the case may be, in order, of course, to make certain. I understand the psychology of that is to make them not come to court and not identify if it becomes a case where you have to go on an ID parade. They will simply eat the biscuit and shut them out, and of course cut their losses. That is the intention of beating a person or shooting a person, may not die, from, of course, cooperating with the police. And therefore the police cannot expect in those circumstances for any kind of cooperation. And you cannot blame the residents or the citizens for that. But of course, as I said, it is multidimensional, and therefore you must understand the socio-economic and psycho-cultural realities and dynamics that operate in these communities that are considered to be crime infested. I accept the fact that the police were on the button of course, identifying where the crime hotspots are in terms of blue-collar crime as distinct from white-collar crime. That's the point I'm making. But the fact is, we are concerned about blue-collar crime. We are talking about larceny. We are talking about murders. We are talking about wounding. We are talking about, of course, carjacking, hijacking, and, of course, these days, home invasion, as opposed to embezzlement, as opposed to fraud, etc., which of course are not considered to be blue-collar crimes. Where of course you don't use violence, physical violence, to hurt the person, but of course you can be relieved of your hard-earned dollars or earnings or property, as the case may be, in white-collar circumstance. But that being as it may, the fact is that the concern is about blue-collar crime. And I'm saying that if you solve the Laverton question, you solve, of course, a major part. Why? Because when, of course, all of whether you're in remand or you are making a prison sentence, a jail, whether you're in remand, waiting, of course, trial, because you can only be there to await trial, all the criminals end up in one place. And then they share information. Some, of course, give intelligence as to where a bank could be robbed easily or a home could be robbed easily. And the person may be from, let's say, a country part of the country. I don't want to name a part of the country in particular because I have to name all. But it could be another part of the country or a country, including Tobago. But, of course, the fellow from Laverton and so on, very experienced, having, of course, been making jail after jail, making, of course, a remand after remand, getting away from some, of course, being convicted of others, and they talk, they converse, they share experience, and they give intelligence in the context, of course, of the police. It means, of course, information that would, of course, assist them in the prevention or the investigation that they would ensue for the infringement of a particular criminal code. But the fact of the matter is that relationship develops. And so when the fellow goes back to his home and having, of course, have a relationship with the fellow who he met in jail, the relationship continues, particularly in situations where these recidivists in particular would have otherwise not be able to meet, except, of course, they met in jail. And so, of course, they plan, and every time they execute, they get smarter because, of course, they want to evade, of course, detection, and they want to intimidate, of course, the population. Quite apart from that, we have a situation in East Port of Spain where the government has taken the position to gentrify Port of Spain, East Port of Spain in particular. I'm talking about East Moraines and all kind of nonsense talk. So, of course, the gentrification process, which is, of course, is the moving out of the old and bringing in the new, who are the friends and so on. And the hill, of course, has a beautiful view of the Gulf of Paria and Port of Spain from the eastern side, whereas, of course, in Westmoreland, you can't even see Port of Spain, except, of course, you use a binoculars or something like that. But the fact of the matter is that the gentrification agenda of Rowley and Day has created the proliferation and the geographic distribution of those who have been making a living, if you want to call it that, or put another way, those who are inclined to, of course, criminal activities. And the government whether they are conscious of it or not. I have been facilitating soft targets by doing what? But let me tell you what they have been doing. Transplanting by, of course, dislodging whole families and apartments and buildings from Port of Spain and sending them all over the country. The most recent, of course, was in spite of the protestation, the most recent was on Duncan Street, when they flattened, of course, all the apartments there and distributed the people all over the place. But if you have people who, of course, have been living, or part of their understanding of survival is to relieve people of their hard-earned possessions by acquiring a gun or by way of robbery and intimidation. If you have them in a concentrated area and you take them and you distribute them all over the country, what the hell you expect, Rowley? What do you expect, Hines? What do you expect, Young? Because your agenda is to try to get East Port of Spain and the Hill for, of course, your friends and your 1%ers, and to hell with the rest of the country. And so that is why you are getting, of course, crime and criminality, particularly in circumstances where they are more mobile now. They have, of course, vehicles that they can travel with. And, of course, they have communication, cell phones. What do you expect? A more efficient criminal network. That is what you will get. The police cannot solve that. Cannot solve that. Benjamin and them could talk how much they want, as we have seen before. Not even Gary Griffith could have solved that. Because the problem is that you have to contain the problem where it is. Containment rather than the dislodging or the migration by force of these elements. You keep them in East Port of Spain and you develop programs and, of course, the infrastructure like what Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC was prepared to do. And that is, of course, to give the families of these apartments in East Port of Spain the buildings for $100. For $100. You know what transpired? Sorry, I didn't own an apartment there because I would have, I suppose I would have had to get the support of all of them. But of course, here comes the PNM. Under Joan, not under Joan, but under Eulalie James, who was the parliamentary representative for Port of Spain South. And she tell them it's a trick. And they lose the opportunity to own the apartments. And that by itself, you may say, well, what does that have to do with the addressing of the crime situation that the place has been, of course, engulfed in? Well, you have to be a thinker like myself and the think tank that we have put together, whether it's in the United States or other parts of the Caribbean, and, of course, right here, homegrown. You have to understand the socio-economic and psycho-cultural dynamics that operates there, in order for you to find the sustainable solutions to the problem. And let me tell you this. When you give them the apartment in the way that Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the USA, I don't know if they were thinking that far, but certainly I was of course upfront and in support of such an initiative. Don't move them. Keep them there and contain the problem. But you give them an opportunity once, of course, they clean up their acts. But Mommy and Daddy could now tell that young man, listen, I am not going to leave the apartment for you by way of will if you don't behave yourself. If you don't behave yourself, I will not. Go to school, I will not. There are other, of course, initiatives that will be, should I say, attached to making sure that the containment exercise is converted into a calm and, of course, peaceful community, and so a peaceful Trinidad and Tobago ultimately. And that's just one example. But the other aspect connected to that you may not be very familiar with is that when they own the apartment, they can now, of course, take that document to the bank. And therefore, instead of depending on European CPEP and so on, that, of course, I make work initiative that will never satisfy, or put another way, just reinforcing, of course, the poverty-stricken nature of those communities. You can go to the bank and, of course, mortgage the apartment to send somebody to school, university, or to open a business, or to, of course, engage in any other activity, buying a motor car, for example, and maybe giving a child to hustle, PH, as the case may be. That is a reality of that community. Let's not waste time and say that these are illegal acts. No, it is a reality, and we must be forceful enough and bright enough to accept that as an ameliorating factor that will contribute, of course, to the reduction in crime and criminality, because they have a job, they get a license, and then they will, of course, be able to purchase a car by, of course, mortgaging their apartment. But more than that, I could see, as we have told them, and they have now, of course, realized how important, of course, these structures are to them. Because we can say that you are right in Port of Spain. Carnival, of course, is an annual event. And of course, they can make a room of the apartment available, and all of them could advertise in the United States or elsewhere, where, of course, expatriates and others could, of course, come to East Port of Spain and stay for the Carnival season. You're talking US money here now. Because from the apartment straight into the Carnival one time, because they are right in Port of Spain. Of course, all of that cannot happen. Let us not waste time. Cannot happen unless the people themselves decide, of course, to solve the crime and criminality, and, of course, roll back the international advisories against Trinidad and Tobago. And that is why Dada was able to go to India, because the Indian High Commission, was invited by me to, of course, walk around East Port of Spain. And when they saw that the place is not as bad as, of course, the media would like to make it be, or the police, by their activities, would like to, whether advertently or inadvertently, but they're doing their jobs. I cannot blame them. But, of course, the news, that is bad news. And therefore, when they came and they saw, they say, all right. Just as, of course, the British High Commissioner came as well. Just as the American ambassador was preparing to come there before, of course, he had to leave, not the recent one. Those are the kinds of initiative one expects towards, of course, a sustainable addressing of the problems of those community, and then therefore, by extension, the problem of crime and criminality that has, of course, given Trinidad and Tobago a bad name and becoming a laughing stock. Because, of course, apart from all of those situations, as far as crime is concerned, we have the unfortunate situation where the government has not been able to come up with any creative ideas for, of course, a foreign direct investment, one, and two, of course, augmenting the GDP of the country, and therefore creating employment opportunities in the process. That is what we are talking about. This is serious business. And I'm saying to, of course, East Port of Spain, I'm saying, of course, to Bitham, I'm saying to Lennox, I'm saying, of course, to Tumakak, I'm saying, of course, to Movan, Malik, be on the right side of history. The PNM is toxic, the PNM is evil, the PNM is wicked, and they cannot think that far. You think Heinz will tell you that? You had 10 years of Rowley, 10 years of Heinz. Did they ever speak in this way? No, they can't, because they are simply about themselves. Understand that? And just for good measure, and to, of course, put credit where credit is due. I want to tell you that it's not for the first time, but I think I better say it now again. Having gotten the opportunity, that the Laventille Technology and Continuing Education Center, as it is called, is Lennox Smith's idea, not Heinz. Heinz claimed it because, of course, he changed the name from, of course, the inner city facility that we originally was giving it the appellation or the name as the original name that we gave it. And that was under Bazio Pandey, when, of course, Ganga Singh was the Minister of Tertiary Education. And that particular facility, that location, was called the Rumban, and it was burnt out. And so I saw a centralized training facility similar to that which we created under what was called the Mobile Laboratory Improvement Organization Trade School. That, of course, graduated over 6,000 young people on our own volition and our own resources. The PNM never supported it. And in fact, they tried to kill it. That is why it is not in existence today. Because I say, well, what the hell? I helped them and they believe that somehow I am connected to that. I have a family too. And I have to make money as well. And so, to hell with them. But of course, as I said, and as I gave, of course, that 1,000-page document to Kamala Prasad Bisesa recently in her crime symposium that she would have had in different parts of the country when she reached, of course, Missouri in Mova. I gave it, of course, on a flash drive, modern technology. I didn't have to give a huge amount of paper, 1,000 pages in physical form, and I am prepared to work, if necessary, for free to assist, of course, the Kamala Prasad UNC administration to bring the true potential of such sustainable programs of the people, by the people, and for the people to Laventille, and therefore, by extension, other parts of the country that requires that kind of intense community-based intervention to address ultimately the socio-economic problems of these areas. But more particularly, we have to deal with our young people and their gravitation to crime and criminality. The police will be, of course, in an exercise of futility if they believe that the nonsense that they spout, reduction in this and reduction in that, waste of time, it is ephemeral, and at best it is inchoate, meaning that it is incomplete. They cannot solve the problem. We have to get serious in this country. And we have to understand that there are abilities in the community itself, and tried and tested, if you want to call it social re-engineering, to treat with the problems of the country on a sustained basis. And I anchor my position with the UNC simply because they are willing and able, when in government, as we have seen between 2010 and 2015, to do what is required in order to enjoy that peace and stability and eradication of these subterranean cultural activities, and bring it to the surface so that they can contribute to themselves and their families and their neighborhood, and ultimately the country, as we move forward unanimously together for a better Trinidad and Tobago. That is what we are about. That is what must be the perspective. You ever hear that from Hines? You ever hear that from Young? You ever hear that from Rowley? They don't know. They are ignoramus. And you still following them? Well, of course, maybe it might have been a well-kept secret. Well, now that you know, then, of course, it's better late than never, according to the old people. And then, therefore, you must do what is required. 39 seats in Trinidad for the UNC and Kamala Prasad Bisesa to achieve these practical, tried and tested. They're here. I say it almost every night on the corridor. 1,000 pages. And let me tell you this, for those of you who believe that somehow This is about hating the PNM. But I want to tell you that I gave Rowley, I sent a copy by registered mail, by courier, because I sent the entire package. When he became Prime Minister in 2015, and when he was leaving, or at the end, of the 2015 to 2022, and I got no response. Just as how I have got no response from my pre-action protocol letter, which of course is another story that will be told, and you don't have to wait long to get the end of that story, or should I say, to understand the continuation of that story. All right, I give you the assurance that I will not leave it there. You cannot be the Prime Minister of the country and somebody send you a pre-action protocol letter and you didn't even send, of course, you didn't even let your lawyer write back. No, that is disrespect for the law. Not for me, for the law. Stupid people would say, I'm Lennox so poor and this and that, but he talking. But I was talking last night, though. And he said it without fear of contradiction. Why? Because he knows now what I know. He wasn't saying it all the time. Call him a rapist and a rapist because, of course, he impregnated when he said it nicely. He impregnated in 1969, very good. And of course, by the endings around September of course, 1970, Garth Allen was born, his first child, a boy child, obviously. And he knows that, and he knows we know that. I don't know, and the PNM knows that, and yet still fights that scoundrel, that predator in more ways than one, on the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And today, he could just plan to leave, having done such almost irreparable destruction. And if the PNM should get an next turn, I could tell you, it will be irreparable. I say almost because I'm still leaving space for the creativity and the nationalistic zeal and the superior policies and programs that he Rowley accepted is within the bosom of the UNC and within the contemplation of Kamala Persad-Bissessar, not as just leader of the UNC, but as Prime Minister next in this country. So I await, of course, the call from, or the indication from main studio.
The Ground Report with Mickie K, Andy Williams, and Lennox Smith.
Bang, 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 bang.
Yes, well, that is the notation, and that is the call. So, pleasant good morning to you, Andy.
Yes, good morning. Like I pushed myself a little too much yesterday, but I don't tell man. Oh boy.
That is the job. My apology, but boy, I was so tired. It was not that I abandoned you, but I would have been sleeping on set if I didn't go and take a rest. So I did in fact take a rest. So it's something that I could have avoided. Not that I went out and I could have come back, etc. It's just that when the body says resting time, you must, because as the old people say, and that of course work no dead, but man does dead. Of course, and all work make Jack a dull boy. But of course, on the other hand, like we see with the PNM and Rowley, and they all play make Jack a mere toy, but these fellas are bare toys.
Yeah, and the next saying is make Jack a dull boy. All play, all work and no play. Make Jack a dull boy. Oh, shucks. Hey, Trinidad and Tobago, all of the lines are open. You all had a total mouthful again of facts of how it is in Trinidad and Tobago on the 39 seats that is in the table. Papa say that, right? So here it is. I'm going to say a pleasant good morning to the Gael family. A pleasant good morning to those of you that are locked on to us on Gael, Trinidad and Tobago, and on Gael, the Caribbean. A pleasant good morning to each and every one of you. Welcome to the Ground Report. What's your contribution this morning? What's your front burner? What's supposed to make news that not making news? Your front burner don't have to be our own. Remember that. So while I wait you all phone calls, have anything, any headliners there that you will want to touch on by the meanwhile? And if everything is over, well then I'll just play back some voice notes that was not played yesterday by the hundreds of people, or the few people that send their voices.
I want to be like you, out of an abundance of caution. I don't want both of us, of course, to be subjected to voice challenging or voice challenges. So, of course, let's play what we didn't play yesterday, and then, of course, we could pick up from after that and move on to present time or contemporary time. So, feel free to engage. Yeah, a number of other issues, but you go ahead.
Well, a call coming, so let me just take this call one time. Go ahead, caller.
Good morning, Ground Report.
Good morning to you, Tunapuna.
Right. This question is for Lennox, if he could help me out. Lennox, this thing where we buying gas and oil and thing from Jamaica. Remember, there's a fellow they call Leachin, who is a preferred partner to Colman Butt and this government. And remember, they sold out to Sachiko and a number of businesses that Lichin had a hand on, and we sell our business to him. Within recent times, we see a lot of private sector companies linking up with Jamaica and whatnot, and think partly owned, or if not owned by Lichin, because he's I think a multi-billionaire, if I am not wrong, right? And I am asking,
he's almost a trillionaire coming out. He was born in Canada, but go ahead. But of course, settle his investment in Jamaica. Go ahead.
Now I am asking the question is this: how come that Jamaica, who was nothing in the energy sector, all of a sudden is becoming this big czar now that we have to buy, where we used to supply them, now we have to buy from them? I wonder if this Lichin has a hand in this whole thing, because as you say, you have to watch him, but and them fellas and them very carefully, yeah? Rowley and Stuart Young and all them fellas. Like this thing was deliberately set up. We don't know if it is Jamaica is getting oil or whatever it is from Venezuela, understand? And we, this thing, Lennox, is really puzzling, brother. It's really puzzling for we to reach this stage now. That we was a oil and gas producing country, and we have to buy from people who do have no experience. They have nothing at all when gas and oil energy is concerned then. It leads me to wonder something very suspicious. And I wonder if this Maduro government is involved in this thing with the Jamaica. Because Jamaica and them, we have to, all of them fighting for survival now. And as you have always been saying, that we have been relegated to the dustbin of Caribbean politics. Because we no longer, share that limelight then, as a thing. As a matter of fact, Trinidad has gone through them. Nobody have no concern. They don't care about Trinidad. So I am asking the question, and Lennox could do a little research to find out whether Lichin has an investment in the energy sector in Jamaica, and that if it is that we are buying gas and oil from Venezuela, from Jamaica, and remember, Ilmut, Stuart Young, and all these fellas have a close relationship with Lichin and the Jamaican government. So I would like you to check out that for me, please, Leonard, because this thing really is rotten, it smells. And I am saying that I believe, I have a strong suspicion that this is a making by Colman Butt, Stuart Young, Rowley and them, where this whole thing and the energy fiasco, because by the closure of Petrotrin, they were guaranteed, they put the eggs in one basket that they're going to get oil and gas and thing from Venezuela, Maduro, PDVSA and whatnot. And now that seemingly like all that has backfired. They have reverted to this new trend now where we've seen we're going to get it from Jamaica. And whether it is that the Jamaicans are getting oil and gas and whatever from Venezuela. So Lennox, I give you an assignment. And apart from that, it is laughable to see what is going on in this country with our security system, our Minister of National Security, our Security Council, the Police Commissioner, and everything else, because do you think that this is an investment-friendly country when you have a high rate of crime, when you have, just imagine this. We had the government declaring a state of emergency. Immediately after the state of emergency, you come and you had another fiasco again, I can't remember. And then now you have this thing with the Commissioner of Police. I mean, what is really the state of emergency, the Prime Minister submitting, tendering his resignation, prematurely, and now you have this fiasco with the Police Commissioner. So, what is really happening to this country? Do you think anybody will be here and feel insecure? Do you think investors will want to come here? Do you think tourists will want to come here? And I am saying the time has reached now. We have to hit the streets, regardless of what. And the Prime Minister, Kid Rowley, because you can have a man who has failed miserably and impose he on we as the next Prime Minister of this country. Call the damn election now. Lennox, I'll give you the assignment, brother.
Thank you very much. I'm certainly going to do so with a high degree of similar concern and with a tremendous effort.
Well, all right, so I'm going to play the voice notes by the time. If it had calls, I'd just take that. So let me play those voice notes from yesterday by the time.
Again, a bunch of hypocrites. When Oli was making all kind of derogatory comments, when Lisa Morris Julian was killed in the fire, Oli had no problem. But Oli having a problem now about Osteotion comments was heartless. Only too deceitful. That is why the UNC will never, ever, ever see the reins of government in this country again. Mr. Tenapuna, I'm calling you out this morning. You know the tune by Mystic Paula called Piper Press? Well, that Lennox is the perfect example of that. You see all that Goba we talking today and wannabe and self-praise? Lennox is a failure. That is why he was charged and convicted of fraud, using his press to defraud people, right? And Mr.
Blessing, man. Never gonna check Reggie, like you want nothing, no?
You are court close, boy. No, I don't know nothing about that. Like he have court close. Hey, yo. Well, don't study that distraction. That is absolutely not truth. You understand that he come in there with that he have court close.
Not only that, I've been taking records, so he see in others that which of course is in him. Misery brings or desires or would like, of course, to confine themselves to others being, of course, in a misery situation like them. Me, I know toaster thief. Me, I know. What's the other thing? I think they say the thief, some kind of microwave, and of course, try to blame his wife for that and so on. And you know where he live it? In Shafford Court, in Shafford Court, apartment. And of course, he doesn't even want to be the beneficiary of a UNC $100. He would have been a UNC $100 apartment beneficiary. But there are some people, of course, who like to, of course, commit suicide, and they are suckers for punishment. After all, what do you expect of someone who is a car park technician? So let him organize. He reminds me of the fellas who, of course, said that Rowley didn't do what I said he did. Rape, of course, and is a pedophile, and they will sue me. But I have, of course, instead sued. Begin the process of suing Rowley for persons like these, including, of course, the the Trinidad and Tobago telecommunications letter that was sent by Rowley's lawyer to try to shut me up because, of course, they are claiming an employee of the Ministry of Information under the auspices of the Prime Minister. A fellow called, I think, was somebody from the army. Well, of course, I have sent a pre-action protocol letter to him as well. So let this guy continues and feel that he wants to enter where angels fear. I bet you everything he has, including those stolen toasters, will, of course, be part and parcel of the reward that I will eventually get. But that's all right. Let him continue.
Good morning, Andy. Get well soon, brother. We missing you. And good morning to Lennox, director, and all the listeners. Listen now, man. This Prime Minister we have, right, who his track record, not by me saying it, but his track record speaks for itself. From initially, from former deceased Prime Minister Patrick Manning days, he warned us about this man, you know, right? And he said when he doesn't get his way, he bullies you, right? And he, you know, Mr. Manning was disgusted with him. Firstly, fire him from his cabinet, but he couldn't stop him from going up back for the Diego Martin West because I PNF party business, you know, and he would have been dismayed for that. So that being said, then now he come as opposition leader with the email fiasco. Then when he got into prime minister, he tried to swear in the attorney general first before swearing himself, right? These are the acts that start of dictatorship, and it goes down right down, come back down. The latest scenario was the Election and Boundaries Commission, where he called the EBC to extend the hours. He's so big, he could call the EBC to extend national elections, you know, and nothing will come out of that. And then when he met the head of the that guy in I can't remember his name, boy, that's so long, Ken Gordon, you know, and things like that. So this man feel he could do what he want. He's king Rowley. He could. There are no procurement laws. There is no constitution. He is King Rowley, and whatever he feel to do, and he do it. And then he takes Stuart Young. He go on Australia, and he buy both Deso without any procurement policy. Nothing ever come out of that. Everything this man do, right? And this coming on to the happenings of the day now, right? This man, I could bet the last dollar that I have that Dr. Rowley has his hand in the center of all this controversy that's going on with Erla and things like that. And the last one I will state is he pre-arranged this retirement thing, you know, for he to get all that money, you know, right? He telling we had to get 4%, but I'm sure that he pre-arranged with the Salary Review Commission, dictated them, right, to do what they did. And, you know, now he's saying he's born out, but the country has to hold him, right, for his act that he performed while he was prime minister, legally that is, you know, and thing. So we ought to hold him to explain what his tenure, what it was, and if there is anything illegal, well, he faced the consequences. By the time we say to save this radio station and so on, we're not accusing him of doing anything illegal. Andy, good morning, blessing, greetings to you, my brother. It seems like you're not really well, boy. We miss you on the radio, on the chat and so on. And I don't know, I think if I could send you a phone card to help, let me know. I'll send I think you're at Digicel. I'll send a phone card or something like that. That kind of person. There's Mikey partner, all Prasad. Thing you want me to cheer up a little bit, Andy? Here now, I hear Mikey organizing down the island boat tour for Valentine's Day. And you know who will be the guest? Donna Cox and Shamfa Kojo, and he serenading them down the island, right? With Dufu and brandy and thing like that, right? So when you meet him, you go ask him, eh? Okay, I hope that cheer up a little bit.
Yeah, man. You sure, but yes, you get Mikey the worst kind of woman it have. You wanna get Mikey woman where nobody wants.
He probably learned it from all you. That's the kind of friend. That's Mikey a shop. Well, yes, indeed.
Good day. That press conference held by the police made absolutely no sense. They answered nothing, said nothing of substance. It was a total waste of time. Actually, I firmly believe that the people in authority in Trinidad and Tobago are hopelessly mentally deprived. We have taken the worst of the worst and put them in the highest positions. Thank you.
Wow.
Indeed. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Pleasant good morning. Andy, Lennox, Mickie Key, the listening public, Santa Cruz. This is the one that break the camel back, as they just say, because we can't afford, not even afford now. I don't know if this is for the PNM people out there, including Mr. Porter Spain. I really don't call out people so, but now if you're already listening to this, or anybody listening to this, this is an insult concerning this oil, and we really can't afford this. We really can't afford to do this again. This is something that we should really look at, watch and see what really going on. We should not be getting refinery oil from Jamaica. This alone should be able to tell us, look, it's about time, and let me vote UNC and let me get refinery back up and running. And those studies bogus thing, they're going and buy it, and who going and buy it? If they're going and buy it, stop it from anybody buying that. Because them going and get the US, not we. And then we get back into the pipeline and then we show them how this thing has to work. You understand? Enough is enough. Get them boys and them to drill some more oil. Maybe get them, they want complication, let me get them it now. Let me get ourselves act together. Come on. UNC, let me vote UNC and let me do what we have to do now. Come on. I ain't able with this one. Nice it for me. PNM, I can't even think about dreaming to vote for you again. And that is it. UNC all the way. Alright, blessings everyone.
Morning, guys. Andy and Lennox. Lennox, you were very good this morning. Everything you said was the God's truth. And Andy, you were so right. If everything is a distraction, but I tell you, we have distraction for 365 days. Let me tell you, all who like to say rah mouth Woodbrook and blabbermouth Woodbrook, well, let me tell all you this now. I am lost, totally lost for words this morning. You understand? I don't know what to say. I can't put all of this at I don't even know what to call it. If it's bacchanal, if it's evil, if it's wickedness, sinfulness, I can't put it into words. I cannot find the words to describe what is taking place in my country. This is not a real country. This is not a real place. Eh? You know, what part of the world this kind of lawlessness, this can take place and everybody quiet? Everybody quiet? Well, all the criminologists and the analysts and all the just as I like to say, who like to open their mouth and make a big hullabaloo as soon as Kamala Prasad Bisesa say something sensible. They only can talk when they hear sensible talk. No, this is a worldwide embarrassment. Eh? This government collapse, the police collapse, everything collapse, and yet still, nobody ain't come with a stretcher to carry them out. Eh? Why all of them still there? Why are they still there? Hmm? All of them who are custom criticizing and finding fault and Camilla this and Camilla that, where all your voice, where all your verse, where all your chapter, all you ain't saying nothing, all you ain't doing nothing, this is a critical situation in this country. Yeah? Trinidad in real trouble. Where all the haters, where all the ones who like to talk UNC this, UNC that, the other. All you ain't see what PNM do to Trinidad and Tobago. All you realize is all we have to be suffering for all that they're doing, and all you keeping quiet. This going to be allowed to continue? Well, Andy, you see me? I don't know what to say about this, you know. It is the worst I have ever experienced. Like yesterday, I'm looking at television there, and Trump is doing his due. And there are people who do not agree with what he is doing. And they were out in the thousands in the bitter cold protesting what is wrong with the people in this country. They don't stand up for nothing. They don't stand up for anything. It's going from bad to worse. The only thing left for Rowley and the PNM government and the cohorts, the brotherhood and sisterhood around us, the only thing left for them to do is to kill all away. That is the only thing left for them to do. Will you continue sitting down?
Come back, between 2015 and 2025, the host of this program talked about UNC corruption 2010-2015. But I could tell you that there was significant levels of corruption between 2015 and 2025. Correct. Corruption is still going on today. And I will go one step further and say that it is my personal belief that the PNM in the last 10 years was much more corrupt than the UNC in 2010-2015. But the corruption was nicely done so that it is hard to track. Okay? I will say that, but the point about it, I cannot prove it. And so, without the proof, nobody could say anything. But the point about it here is simply one. It says, whether there is corruption or not, people don't care whether the party corrupt, you know. They care about whether the party in government.
Good morning, Andy. This is Miss V from Tobago. I am telling you that Watson Duke don't have no chances this coming up election. It's the Tobago People Party we have to vote for, because anytime we vote for Duke, we in trouble. So me and over Silver Foxy talking about, is the Tobago People Party that we are voting for. Watson Duke leave Tobago and go and give out bread in Trinidad when Tobago people wanted bread. So he had no chance over here. So me and over Silver Fox Stock here alone go vote Duke. Because right now, to vote for Duke is a waste of time. It's only two parties in Tobago we vote, go be running the election. It's PNM and the Tobago People Party. And we don't want the PNM. They vanish away from Tobago. I telling you that, and it's that.
Wow. Wow. My lady ain't easy. Right, well, y'all, I think I don't play all those voice notes.
All right. Hi, people. Of course, the lines are open. Of course, the numbers to call 225-6644, 225-6644. I'll try to, of course, to limit on these opportunity, of course, to speak by, of course, I will announce the numbers from time to time so as to give his voice a rest. 239-5120, 239-5120, and of course, the WhatsApp, leave a voice note, and of course, in the comfort of your own time and convenience, just send it to 366-3053. 366-3053. Yes, indeed, of course, the lines are open, and we continue, of course, to treat with all of the issues. Andy, I noticed that this fella put me in the category of Rowley and Hines and Stuart Young, and this fella from Port of Spain, he said that I had nice talk. But of course, the big difference is that whilst they will sell you a dream, I would sell you, of course, a practicality by and large. Of course, I will have to accept that, of course, it is futuristic with respect to the outcome of the elections. But certainly, all of the other matters, 99%, certainly are proven practical issues that have been tried and tested. And no one, but of course, when you cannot dazzle people with intelligence and with, of course, facts or reality or alternative, cogent and rational argument, well, of course, you attack personality. Well, of course, that too, one has a response capability as we have demonstrated on the ground report. And in the not too distant future, that will, of course, itself manifest. So I am not fazed or in any way, of course, with any of the, what I consider to be attempts to cover up incompetence, impotence, ignoramus, and of course, a person who clearly have seen the demise of the PNM and decides, of course, to defend the indefensible. You have to be a backside in order so to do. But
hold on 1 minute there. Go ahead, Colin.
Yes.
Lennox Smith, I challenge you. You claim that you know me, right? You know me very well. I challenge you anytime to take me to court on the statement I made, right?
He calling now. He ain't sending voice notes. He calling. All right, next caller.
No problem. And of course, I hope that some people wish for things that they really, truly is just bluster, you know.
Morning, gentlemen. Morning, gentlemen.
Morning to you, caller. Where you calling from?
Morning.
Well, this is Long Circular.
Go ahead, Mr. Long Circular. It have been long, man. It's good hearing you.
It's been a long while, and only yesterday I learned that you all won Gael. So I will have to make haste and renew my membership. Lennox Smith, morning.
Good morning, my friend. Good morning. Welcome.
Yes, and to Mickie K as well. Yes, and to Mickie K as well. So as I said, Lennox, I will make haste and renew my membership.
Good.
Because it was only this morning, yesterday I said that I learned of you all being on Gael. Thank you very much.
Yes, I did. And all the best to you and yours for 2025 and beyond.
It was good hearing Mr. Long Circular voice, man. Long time, you know. I say, well, he out of the country. Mm-hmm.
He sensing the victory, so he has to make his contribution, and that's the essence of a true patriot.
He's a good one to deal with Port of Spain.
Port of Spain is insignificant. That he could only regurgitate what what he has been able to glean, which is of course is next to nothing, from of course interacting with people and listening to Rowley and this. So we know what kind of individual that he is. But of course, you cannot, of course, beat ability's ability, and therefore he has to always gravitate to us and to, of course, attempt to defend the indefensible. That is the definition of a nincompoop. But go ahead, my friend.
Good morning, Andy, Lennox, Mikey, Lucas Wright, Parfum, Wilson, Jeffrey, Guyali Channel, the wider Caribbean, up and down the Caribbean, and down to Guyana. To all the listeners on the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago on YouTube and all other media platforms, share and tell them Andy and the Ground Report is on this morning, and Wilson Jeffrey is on during the day, and Lennox is at night to put you to bed with talk against the PNM. Andy, welcome back. And may God give you the strength to recover fully from your ordeal. But I tell you, I should not talk about the Obia holder. But yesterday, Andy, right? Yesterday, you show a video. But I didn't see this morning. This program should have been on the format about that video with Jamaica, right? With the refinery and we buying products from them, because Rowley came out and lied to the nation, and this is where it's supposed to highlight to the supporters of the PNM and the wider community at Trinidad and Tobago that how Rowley lied and mash up $1 billion business because of Malcolm Jones and the Dragon Gas deal. Because just imagine, Jamaica ain't have a drip of oil. Not one drip. It's still in the ground. Only discover it. They start to produce it. We have hundreds of thousands of barrels of crude oil still in this country. And it's just that they're partitioning it and keeping the production low. Just imagine now, we selling oil to Jamaica. They buy it at a high price and they're refining it. How Jamaica can make a profit when they sell it now, when they refine it and sell it. So you see the asinine kind of talk Rowley put out there for the supporters of them, and people like Porter Spain will come to try to change the narrative. And I asked him, Porter Spain, did your leader fall on a school child and pregnant she? Is that you have a leader? He answered me yet. I tell him my leader was drunk and falling on Gandhi statue. But you see, I don't want to go down your road. I want to ask you if your leader lie and say if I will make loss of money and we can't sustain it. But how Jamaica doing it? Now the truth is coming out. All the truth is coming out. And just imagine NGC. You're talking about misbehavior in public office. The whole border NGC. And then run down in Suriname. Asking for indemnity. Is that not misbehavior in public office by billions of dollars of we money disappear. India can give account for $3 billion, and now he's going to be the head of the group about money. I only hope he go there and make the people money, get rich and money disappear. But always a bunch of thief boy. Let me talk about reality. Andy, I want to say more about the economy, but I feel let the people know how we lie and present the refinery. And one thing I want to say before I leave, just imagine, Patriot bid for everything, lock, stock, and barrel. Now just take it by one side, out of the deal, and just give it the refinery to the bidders of them. Is that fair? Or your boy Porter Spain? I hear your friend in St. Vincent say, you do it real good. Have a nice day.
Oh boy, the lines are open. All the lines are open. The numbers are called 225-6644, 225-6644, or 239-5120, 239-5120. We'll give us a WhatsApp call at 366-3053, 366-3053.
And I think it's not what was said by Stuart Young on this matter of the oil refinery of Jamaica, providing, of course, a fuel to Trinidad and Tobago, which, of course, we purchased with U.S. money, with foreign exchange. The things that is not what he said, but the things that he did not say. Because as the last caller rightly said, that of course we weren't told about that particular oil refinery that is within CARICOM. But he talked about Aruba. Then we heard that the Aruba, of course, oil refinery was merely the victim of course, U.S. sanction, and therefore, being in close proximity to Venezuela, one would have expected that they would have been bathing with oil in order to refine, simply because of the proximity of Venezuela to Aruba. So there's a different scenario altogether that caused that oil refinery to be in fallow. But more significantly, they had a duty to tell us that the Jamaican oil refinery existed. It's only in recent times we got the information and therefore become aware that there is, because I didn't know before that there is, of course, a viable and, of course, existing and operating oil refinery in Jamaica. So in other words, one could see that the deliberate withdrawal of information, and therefore you could lie by, of course, omission. But that is a clear lie by omission. You failed to tell us. And but more significantly, he told us as well that oil refinery is a small oil refinery, using, of course, something like 30,000 or thereabout barrel of oil it is refining, but it's now capable of providing a small portion, according to him, of the marine fuel needs of Trinidad and Tobago. But it raises the other question: why didn't you then reduce the capacity of the Point-of-Pierre oil refinery so that it will be still operating, but of course utilizing less oil than the 100,000 barrels that you said that you cannot afford? Why didn't you do that instead? Because you see, in Jamaica doesn't have a drop of oil of their own. We have about 44,000 barrels every day that we produce here. But Jamaica doesn't have a drop of oil, but yet still they maintain the oil refinery, and what they say for energy security. We have now left our energy security in the hands of foreigners, and of course in the context of Jamaica, a Jamaican oil refinery. And they are boasting.
Hold 1 minute, but you're going real good. Go ahead, caller. Let me not keep you longer. Go ahead, caller.
Good morning. Good morning. Yes, just I endorse everything what Lennox Smith just said on the caller before, because Lennox, sorry for you too. You need to read this because it's dealing with the same CARICOM situation, right? You need to refer to letters to the editor, Trinidad Newsday. I wrote an article named "Revive Discourse on Patriotic's Bid for Point-of-Pierre Oil Refinery." It was published on Thursday, the 6th of July, 2023. That was the CARICOM what was here in Trinidad and Tobago. You should read that. It deals with this situation with Stuart Young, or they didn't look at the article. If they had look at that article, we wouldn't have been in a situation right now. So if you could pull up that article and read it for the people. Also, Stuart Young was dishonest last time when he was on television. He talked about, he said Private Fuel was making a profit, right? And the Freedom of Information Act would show that Prioria was not making a profit, it was losing money from 2018 to 2024. The facts has been there via the Freedom of Information Act, courtesy Anthony Dobson, the Secretary of the Point-of-Pierre branch. Right? So the minister need to be factual. You need to be factual. Don't come on television and say, oh, he was making a profit, Prioria making a profit. The Freedom of Information Act shows from 2018 to 2024 that it was losing money. Thank you very much.
And please send that for me via WhatsApp now.
Morning, caller.
Morning.
Have a look at it. Good morning.
Morning, and Gaya.
Good morning, caller.
Speaking ground.
You're on the ground report. You're on live on the ground report. Go ahead, caller. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the Laramine area, man.
Go ahead, Laramine.
But I'm hearing somebody on the line there already.
No, you're listening to your television. What you have to do is listen to your phone and move up from the television.
Okay, I'll take down the volume. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning to you, my brother. You go ahead and make a contribution, Mr. Laramine.
Yeah, man, this is our first time caller here. All right. Stuart Young and Rowley and these guys and them, they have been spreading a narrative there about importation of oil to satisfy the needs of the refinery. However, this was always so. They had always imported oil because they couldn't satisfy the local needs. The local needs were just about 50,000 barrels. So, and this is facts. A lot of the laymen and them is not aware of that, but this is factual. So that is my contribution.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Yes, Lennox, go ahead with what you was deliberating on.
I was making the point that if it is that they are, we are not, and at one time, of course, we weren't purchasing 100,000 barrels in the first place. But as the oil refinery grew, and of course, as capacity and output or throughput continued, of course, to increase, and the markets continued to be there, and of course, search for, apart from our commitment to CARICOM, then that situation occurred. But Dr. Rowley have to now explain to us, and that is not just misbehavior in public office to act against our best interests economically and socially, and causing, of course, all of the trauma that is now Trinidad and Tobago. But that is treason, because clearly you could have, of course, generate a process where the oil refinery is reduced to accommodate oil that we could afford, including, of course, those barrels of oil that we produce here. And even if, because of the sulfur content, we have to, of course, export but we could import less oil for the oil refinery and downgrade its, of course, its throughput or its output capacity. So there is no excuse. But I want to tell you that Jamaica is saying categorically they have an oil refinery for energy security. Understand that? And they boasted that they don't have oil, and that here it is, they are now, the table is now turning, because Trinidad and Tobago had a manufacturing sector that dominated, of course, CARICOM, because of the low energy costs to them. And I want to tell everybody that a barrel of oil in terms is not energy security. A barrel of oil, you can't take the raw crude oil and pour it in an engine, for example, to drive your car, or put it in your transmission. You understand? Or put it in your steering, in your power steering. No, it has to be what? It has to be refined. And all the multiple items that somebody told me, over 300 items that you could get from, of course, a barrel of crude oil once it is refined, including, of course, bitumen, that is a scarce commodity in this country today, that has impact on the kind of roads that we now drive on. Because instead, of course, of resheeting roads and repairing roads extensively, they have now resorted to patching, because they have to also import bitumen, which is a byproduct of the refining process as we know it. I mean, come on, this is treason, and to have the audacity and the temerity and the boldfaceness of Young to say that it's no big thing, I think it's a tragedy. And these fellas must understand that it is about getting the hell out of office immediately, and that no amount of criticism is sufficient and rich, I should say, vitriolic and excoriating statements and castigation. No amount of it will be sufficient to levy on these people for the kind of tragic circumstance that they have placed the economy of Trinidad and Tobago, and therefore the social fabric of the country, that is unraveling on a daily basis. We have a call? Of course, don't forget to put the number. Oh, go ahead, caller.
Yes, and we'll report Andy, Lennox, Mickie, again. Yes. Lennox, this is going to be the next big scandal that is going to hit Trinidad and Tobago. This oil, this thing will be importing oil and gas from Jamaica. And I would like if you all could get on to Kevin Ramnarayan.
Somebody's asking who is the broker in the Petrojam deal. Could it be Small Pin's father company?
I tell you, Andy, it is them involved in this, brother. With this leaching,
lawyer that was given a bunkering contract as well.
Right.
So they target bunkering fuel, which of course is for the actually that we gonna. But you have a map in the back of me where Jamaica is as opposed to Trinidad, and the proximity of the Panama Canal, where of course most of these ships would enter the Atlantic Ocean from, and you will see that Jamaica is closer to us. Yes, thing Chong is telling us that of course when ships pass here, they will have enough fuel for them, of course, to of course refuel and continue on their journey. Hogwash,
Lennox,
what, my friend?
Yeah. Firstly, let me tell you this. They say that up to now, I was watching the Joint Select Committee. Was it this week? Last week, I think it was. And you know, Paria Fuel Trading and Heritage Company have not submitted audited financial statements for those years. They have not submitted to the Auditor General. Find out more about it. Right, but let us listen to this now, brother. I'm going to show all you how this thing is. This is a big scandal, you know. Where Rowley and Stuart Young and them will conspire, as you say, to sell out the patrimony of this country. This tantamount to treason, you know. Go hear what I am reading from. A page on Express Tuesday 4th, page 10. Young defense deal with Jamaica, fuel deal with Jamaica. But here what is most important. Young said Paria partnership with Petrojam for the bunkering of marine fuel was discussed over the last 2 years. The initiative, he said, would continue to strengthen TNT and Jamaica relationship. News of Jamaica exporting fuel oil to Trinidad and Tobago spread across social media. But here what it says, Paria stated that the marine fuel is not intended for use in the domestic market, but is exclusively designated for the country's bunkering operation, servicing international marine operators, including cruise ships, containers, and other marine vessels. Lennox, you know what that means? I wonder if it is that we know processing or we thinking Venezuelan oil coming through Jamaica, because if it's not for local consumption, why is it that it must be to service, these other things, international things such as, the
cruise ships and large vessels, containerized vessels, etc. That's what you're talking about.
So we
bunkering these things. I don't want to interrupt or to preempt your argument. Go ahead.
We bunkering this fuel because we don't know where it's coming from really. Eh? To bunker, I wonder if the Jamaicans say that we bunker in here for export so that Jamaica go get money. Venezuela go get money. This thing is a mafia deal, this ought to be investigated, and I'm appealing to you if all you could get in touch with Kevin Ramnarayan, because this is not no ordinary thing. All this nonsense that they've been doing over the thing, but this one, it hit the fan, Lennox. It hit the fan, because when you could hear that Paria and Heritage not submitting audited financial account thing, I am of the firm belief that these fellas and then the money or whatever is made from Paria and Heritage, Kid Rowley and them had a hand in that. That money is being deposited into foreign account. This is not something ordinary. And then we bunker fuel, not for local consumption, but for the foreign market. And please all you get on to Kevin right now. Let me find out more. Let me get more about this thing. This thing smells. It smells. And I hope, how are you don't hear this fella taxi driver, the energy chamber man? How we don't hear nothing from these fellas on the boiler, Huh? Oh God, what we going to do again? Let me tell you something. Well, but you said that when you raise the gas about 3-4 times, that we are riot yet. Well, I telling you something. This country is in the prime now for the riot. And you see them bandit boys and them, they go target all you. They go target all you. All you don't run from it, you know. Don't run from it. It can come to all you. And then all you go say, but that is always say this. Two persons, not two, but the Speaker of the House and the Deputy Speaker, the President of the Senate and the Vice President, all you have a great hand to play in the demise of this country, because when there was serious, pertinent issues to be dealt with in the Parliament by the opposition on crime, on energy and everything, you, what's your name? The Speaker of the House shut it down. And he said, Bridget, and he said, George. So all you leave me in this position today, that if these matters were discussed, we would not be in this predicament. But as I think, Andy, get in touch with Calvin Ramnaran, because this is something not just ordinary, already denying and depriving this country of its resources, of its revenue, because all you have, all your fraudulent deals with outsiders, for instance, with the A&B drilling thing, with Rowley. That's one of the main reasons that they shut down Petro thing. Huh? And now we had things with Maduro and Petrobras, or what it is. And now you're having this other scandal with this thing. Lennox, this thing smells stink. It smells, and I am saying, call Ramnaran, let me get this thing off the air today. Let me get some more information. For have a nice day.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I sent you a map of the Western Hemisphere to show the geographic position of Trinidad compared to Jamaica, because Stuart Young's argument is that the ships coming through Panama, because that's where they will come. They will go around South America and then, of course, go to Europe. Normally, these ships will leave, of course, either the Pacific Ocean and go through the Panama Canal in order to enter the Atlantic Ocean in order to go to Europe, and Europe, of course, is north. If you want to compare with to Trinidad, compare, of course, as far as the Atlantic Ocean is concerned. But it is easier. The argument I'm making is easier to go Jamaica if you are a container ship, if you are a ship doing business, you will go to Jamaica. And then, of course, is even more closer because it's more north than Trinidad, and therefore enter the Atlantic Ocean on your way to Europe or Africa. So I sent you that map.
That's so true. Go ahead, next caller. Morning.
Yeah.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, gentlemen. Calling from the Barrackport here. Gentlemen, you know, we're talking about this situation with Jamaica and importing the fuel and things. But is it really that we have fallen under tariffs from the USA now? Because Trump imposed tariffs on Mexico, Canada, a lot of countries with immediate effect already from last week. And Venezuela and Colombia and all these places them fall under that same situation. Are we really being under this tariff system now, and we cannot afford the fuel, the bunkering fuel from where they used to supply, so we had to turn to Jamaica? A lot of things happening in this country, and a lot of things will be happening in this country, and we won't hear the truth. They will come up with some kind of cock and bull story. So is Trinidad now having to pay the brunt of the alignment through this government with narco traffickers? Remember, a man had a meeting with 6 alleged narco traffickers who have bounty on their heads from the United States. We had them in the diplomatic center during the height of the COVID season. Rowley said he didn't know nothing about that, who they are, what qualifications they had or anything like that. And all these things are in the public domain and was noted by America. And now, thinking that Trump would have never win the election, Rowley said they mustn't study we down here. We could run our own business. And now that reality comes to pass where Trump is the president now, is it now that remember what he said about the diplomatic agent they had down here? Let it keep out of our business and all these kind of things. the American consulate that we are in Trinidad and Tobago. So is it now that we are starting to feel the brunt of what is to come because of the association and the incompetence of this government led by Keith Rowley? So one had to really do them investigation and find out who we were purchasing the fuel from before we went to Jamaica. What was the cost? And what is the cost today if they impose tariff that Trinidad and Tobago no longer, I think it's $90 million we had to pay to Jamaica. So if they impose, like let me say, when we was wherever we were purchasing the bunkering fuel, if it was costing the 90 million or less, and now it's about, because imposition of the tariff, now we might be paying 150 million, so they have no choice to go to Jamaica instead. And all these things, people with a little brain had to think and look at. Because if this is the first step, and we had to run to Jamaica, could imagine when they started to impose tariffs on other items, the daily items that we just import from the States and things, where, like grocery stuff and all these kind of things. So that just goes to show now that what this country will be facing. And if these such illiterate duns and them who just keep on supporting the PNM and don't realize the hole that Rowley dig for 10 years for them, and things would get better, they have a lot to think about again. And these people, they would sell their soul, they would sell their children, sell their mother and their father to just show alignment to the PNM. What it is, all the people need to understand. 10 years, a man come and he promised every single thing. First, he promised to lock up all the people in the previous administration. They were so corrupted. They will be lining up in court every Monday morning. We'll have them going to court. 10 years down the road, not one person facing a matter in court for corruption. They cock and bull up some story with Nelson, where Alwari, who's supposed to be making the jail because he take 10 million of taxpayers' money to bribe a senior counsel to go against two people he was working with. And we know what's going to come off of that. Monilal, they say that how he have issue with EMBD. Up to now, nothing coming off of that. And is any of these allegations comparable to the evidence that we have against Colin Imbert? So all these things, where these people, a man lie way into parliament by faking emails and saying the opposition them planning to kill journalists and all these kind of things. You get in. You said that, you're going to reduce crime. It becomes worse. You say you're going to improve employment for the country and things. Worse. The economy, worse. The roads, worse. Every single thing. He's supposed to be Keith Christopher Worse Rowley instead of Keith Rowley. Because the man make everything in the country in the last 10 years worse than it was in any period in this country. And then people would still be voting and supporting him. And they could put who they want, it still would be the same thing. And it just goes to show the lifestyle people want in this country. They would prefer suffer. They would prefer the children lie down in a cold steel slab in forensic center and go and identify them rather than to decide, hey, let's make a change in this country. Okay, because of our racist agenda, because of our tribal mentality, we align ourselves with this person. He said he would make things better for us for 10 years. 10 years come and go on. We ain't seen nothing happen. All over the next 100 years to realize that nothing would not happen. You had over 50 years of Eric Williams and the PNM coming down the road. Nothing never happened. No benefit, no improvement in the country. All you know where this country is supposed to be today? All you know that instead of us squatting and begging and working 12 hours a night and parking lots and things, that all could have been sit down, relaxing, picking up our lunch kit with a nice breakfast and a lunch pack in it, and going to a job in some industry anywhere in this country and work a 8-hour shift and come home, sit down. When time comes, you make a travel, you send your children to a good university. You had to build fence high up to the sky to live in a prison when you work hard and make a nice home for yourself and your family and all this kind of thing. All you know that could have been the 1.4 million people in this country. All you know that when you drive through Port of Spain, all around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the night, you could have parked up on a sidewalk cafe, sit down and have ice cream with your family. See a little man playing a little pan on the side of the road. You're taking a little music. You walk the street, do some nice shopping and thing in your city, and be peaceful and comfortable. You walk down by the cruise ship complex. It might have a little live band playing down here. Tourists park up there in a cruise ship. All you know that all these things could have been possible if we had the right government in this country and nothing like the PNM. And all you just accept walking through Port of Spain, this place stinks, filthy. People looking like all here by the hundreds lying on the street, sleeping in cardboard box, eating off a garbage and thing. Them things should have never happened in this country. But all you like it so. All you don't like and care. All you talk about brother and we align ourselves to we brother and all this kind of thing. But that is not true. How could somebody look at their own brother lying in a bag on the streets naked, sleeping, begging for food, and you walk past and normal and you don't realize that have a lot to do with governance? And then all you would support something like Rowley and them as to lead all you. No wonder the country in the States, no wonder all the mentality in the States like this. Have a good morning, gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of all your day. Take care.
Thank you so much. Oh boy. Yeah, I received the thing there from you, Lennox.
And I sent another one from, of course, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State for the United States. He just toured, of course, Latin America, and he said something about Venezuela and Cuba. I thought it will impact on us here in terms of their position on Venezuela, and one could conclude safely that, of course, that deal with the dragon gas, etc. Well, that you could say safely has gone through the window. So it might be by way of information to, of course, to prove that the position of Trump, they're not making joke, and what he said there, I mean, they are in a belligerent mood, meaning that they are in a warish mood, a hawkish mood, against, of course, places like Venezuela.
Yes. So you also want wow, Jamaica really close. So which one deal with the video? Forget the picture or probably picture too?
It's up to you. But one at a time. We will deal. Each one is distinct in its own right. The one with the map, of course, is to show the proximity coming out from the Panama Canal, because that is where most of the ships will be coming from. That Stuart Young say Trinidad and Tobago will be preparing itself as diversification for preparation. A waste of time. You have to go wrong Colombia, past Venezuela, of course, in the Caribbean Sea. Why it's on your way usually to Europe. Europe is in the North Atlantic. So what will happen is that, of course, it's easier to, of course, come through the Panama Canal, these ships coming out of the Pacific Ocean, and then, of course, taking a straight line and go straight to Jamaica. And from Jamaica, you go straight up, of course, you go straight across to the North Atlantic into Europe. The same thing could be said for Africa. So I don't know what he is talking about at all.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Oh boy, well, let me watch that map. Let me watch that map we're talking about, so everybody in Trinidad and Tobago could organize and have an idea. Now, could have an idea of what it is you're talking about. Right, so the map are on there, Lennox Smith. So
yes, indeed.
We are seeing.
Just point at you see the Pacific Ocean. You see the South Pacific Ocean. Well, of course, if you see Panama, you'll have an appreciation. Once Panama is connected, let's say, to Colombia.
Panama here. You see the mouse, right?
Africa is north, yes.
Right. You see the mouse? Right. Okay. The mouse says where Panama is there because you see the mouse, right?
Just let me make sure, because I have to watch
Jamaica is right up here, so. Yeah. But Trinidad and Tobago from here have to come up back here by Venezuela. By this
That's right. Past Colombia, past Venezuela.
Yeah.
In order to reach it. What ship coming there? What ship coming there? Unless you could give them a better deal. And if and Jamaica has the oil refinery, so they will be able now to sell the same oil to these ships that Trinidad and Tobago, according to Young, is now depending on. They could sell the oil cheaper because the oil refinery is located in their territory on their land. At any rate, strategically, logistically, it is easier to go to Jamaica clearly because it is further north. And by the time you leave the Caribbean Sea, you enter the Atlantic Ocean, and Europe is in the North Atlantic area. So, in other words, anybody with a modicum of geometry will know that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So, what the hell you're going and bend to go to Trinidad in order to go Europe? Come and refuel in Trinidad to go to Europe, and more so, your fuel will be more expensive than if you go to Jamaica. Come on, give us a break.
All right. So we seen it here, everyone that are viewing. This is Panama here in the purple. I don't know if you see any mouse. You seen a mouse there, Lennox Smith? I think.
Let me just think, because I'm watching my own map here. Whilst of course I'm talking, and I'm assuming that you would have had it up. Let me just make sure and get your map to be seen now, just somewhere. All right. Okay. Yeah. I'm seeing it now.
You see the mouse? You see the mouse?
Use the map. I'm not.
You ain't seen a mouse? Wow.
No, I'm not seeing a mouse.
All right.
I'm not seeing a mouse.
All right. Well, all right. Forget that. So let's go now to the latest. Let's go to the latest when it coming to Mark Rubio, Secretary of State Mark Rubio, on the whole issue of Latin America.
Yeah, and you don't have to use much of your imagination to know what the outcome will be with respect to the dragon gas, because what we are concerned with is Trinidad and Tobago's interest, and not what their fight with Venezuela is about. Even though, of course, it has implication for Trinidad in the sense of the amount of migrants from Venezuela that is here, talking about, of course, over 100,000. So that is the other aspect of it relating to Venezuela. But certainly, we need to hear what the policy position on Venezuela is by the Trump administration through the Secretary of State, the new Secretary of State for that administration.
Nice. So Trinidad and Tobago, let's get into the geopolitics aspect, and we'll have an idea if the dragon can't aim blowing fire. The dragon have fire or don't have fire. Let's get on to it.
Yes, he just told, of course, only yesterday, he just told Latin America.
Now, Venezuela is taking back migrants that the Trump administration is deporting. They've released American prisoners. Maduro doesn't seem like the type of person to be doing things just out of the goodness of his heart to help the United States. Is this administration going to recognize Maduro as the legitimate leader of Venezuela?
There's no talks about doing that. No one's discussed it. We don't recognize him now. What he's agreed to is very simple. He's released Americans that should never have been in his prisons. They were hostages. They're not prisoners. They're hostages. He takes them for trade. And he's going to accept, especially these Trinidad criminals. We'll see if he actually does it. I hope they do. We got to get these people out of our country. They came from Venezuela, came through a bunch of other countries, wound up here, committing crimes in the United States. He pushed those people out of his country. He emptied out his jails and prisons and pushed them into other countries and towards the United States, and he's going to have to take them back. I think leaders like Maduro, no matter how tough they try to be, they respect Donald Trump. They know this is not a guy who's going to send you a strongly worded letter. He will take actions. I'm not going to talk about what those actions are, but he knows and they know we have many options to inflict serious damage and harm on the Maduro regime if they don't do what international law requires them to do, and that is accept their foreign nationals who are illegally in this country, especially those who are criminals. That's the priority, the criminals.
The final question, and I think it's a very good place to answer. Do you see yourself as the representative of the United States government ever going to Havana?
Well, first of all, we don't. I have no intention of going to Havana with this regime in place, other than to discuss when they're going to leave. That regime is a disaster. It's destroyed the country. It's turning Cuba into a nursing home. Sadly, the only people that don't leave are the ones that are too old or too sick to leave. They've lost 10-12% of their population just in the last 3 years. They're incompetent and they're evil, that regime. And Berthelot's a threat to the United States. They've invited China to open spy bases. They invite Russia in. They're partners with Iran. They just joined a partnership with South Africa to support Hamas at the expense of Israel. That isn't a government. That is a regime that is hostile to the United States. And so until that changes, there's nothing for me to talk about with them.
Mr. Secretary, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So that was the very latest from Secretary Rubio speaking with Fox News about his agenda in South America. And then on the left side of your screen, we have the live events and top stories we are following on this Tuesday. Speaking of Secretary Rubio, I want to give you all the latest tweet that came down on X. You see it there on your screen. It says, quote, met the staff of our U.S. Embassy, who, like many of the individuals working in embassies and consulates worldwide, are the face of our country. As I said when I entered the State Department for the first time, it is an honor and a privilege to oversee such a talented diplomatic corps.
Thank you very much. Oh boy, the lines are open at Trinidad and Tobago.
And of course, we wait to the Trump selection for Trinidad and Tobago as far as ambassador is concerned. And I know that this administration will get a very torrid time, having regard, of course, to the hawkish stance of the Americans against, of course, some of our neighbors, including, of course, that of Venezuela in particular. What is going to happen is anybody's guess, but do not rule out anything at all. Having regard, of course, to the what I consider to be the belligerent, the warlike stance of the Trump administration against countries that violate, of course, fundamental human rights, which Trinidad and Tobago failed to recognize and condemn when they would have had the opportunity, whether at the United Nations or at other region, or should I say hemispheric institutions such as the OAS.
Go ahead, caller. Morning. Where are you calling from? What's your contribution on the ground report this morning?
Yeah, what I'm saying is this now. With the Commissioner of Police issue, anybody stand up like Gary Griffith, he stand up, he started to go Valsin Park, he started to go Goodwood Park, we lost confidence in him. He spoke about the police closing stations and the Commissioner picked him up. You see what happened to her? That alone will show that the parliamentary representatives couldn't stand up against him when he said, hey, we had a vote for young, you know. Otherwise, they would not be in Parliament today. You would have found a way to get rid of them. And I'm saying again, the last election, the whole map of Trinidad and Tobago was yellow, and the man declared himself a winner. The man declared himself a winner before the ballot box even finished counting. He stole the election, and he's going to steal this one again. Whether we vote UNC, the whole people vote UNC, he is going to steal this election again. That is why he put Young in power. We have to check this for real. This man is a dictator. He's seriously become a dictator. But don't do as I do. Do as I say. He is going to steal the election, and I have to watch out very, very, very closely. Watch this man very closely. He is going to steal the next election. He have things in place to declare him winner. Okay? Have a blessed day, Andy and company.
Thank you very much for your contribution, caller. Wow. Well, go ahead. We want all the calls. A lot of you are calling. All right. Don't forget to also leave your voice notes. Again, don't mind. Not 100 this morning. Morning, caller.
Morning, Andy. Morning, Lennox. Morning, Mickie. Morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Andy Freeport here, boy.
Hey, Freeport, go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, I don't know if all you could remember, Andy. From the time the tragedy take place with the divers and them, I was asking a question and nobody could answer. And like I'm getting answers now. Because I was saying, if Petrotrin not refining oil, what was the big hurry to repair that pipeline? Were they storing fuel on the hand for somebody? And apparently, I'm getting my answers now. Because something fishy about that whole issue. That they was busy, and do all that on the hand thing to repair a pipeline that they had no use for. So, this is where everything come out. And I want to tell Mr. Porter Spain, you just know who thief and who this and who that. You must check yourself, check your prime minister, what he did to a little child while going to school. And you, Mr. Butterstain, you never take bread trust, you never take fried rice trust, you never take soup trust, you take roti trust, and you never pay the people. So when you want to talk about who thief and who this and who owing people, check yourself, Mr. Butterstain. This is Freeport. And as I tell you the last time, you must shut up what your mother can use again. Thank you.
Next caller. Oh boy. I was supposed to call Malcolm X yesterday, Oh boy. Who else calling there now? Next caller. Malcolm X, a pleasant good morning to you, man. Go ahead, caller. Pleasant good morning. Where are you calling from and what's your contribution on the ground report this morning?
Good morning. I'm calling from Mover. The Lennox Smith has sent you the copy of the article via WhatsApp and also Andy. Revive discourse on Patriot. Then for point of refinery, right? Okay then.
I'll take a look at it. Yes. Add it to what we already know. Yeah.
Go ahead, caller. Morning. Where are you calling from?
Hey, Andy. Morning to you, Lennox boy. I want to tell that caller just now, before this one. Yeah, me Twin City, Tagariga boy.
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear, Tagariga. Go ahead.
Right. Stop pushing the narrative that PNM going to steal the election. You're deterring people from going and vote when you're talking that. PNM can't win no election. And keep no election. Or they have that covered. Kamala have that covered. Mickie have that covered. Stop pushing that narrative. Right? And I want to tell Stephanie something. Stop pushing Gary Griffith on your program every morning. He's a dead politician. I ain't know who put in you up to push Gary Griffith. Commission and all this stupidness. Come off of that bandwagon, boy. Gary Griffith place in politics. Finish. So don't put that stupidness to me every morning. Thank you, Andy.
No problem. Oh boy. Go ahead, Malcolm X, man. Go ahead. A pleasant good morning to you, my brother.
Morning, my brother Andy, boy.
Yes,
I was a little worried. I tell Mickie and Lennox, I don't want you going in a private hospital. I mean, in them government place. In any way, I have some good doctors who very close with us. But if it was anything, I would have taken you to one of them. I don't trust these things because I always have a kind of speculation with Yassem Abubakar there. Andy, why it is Trinidad and Tobago still have this man, this Minister of Finance, signing for money on the behalf of we in Trinidad and Tobago, and the man have a report we supposed to be investigated. Why it is in both still handling finance at the affairs at Trinidad and Tobago, are calling on the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, stop Mr. Inboat immediately until, look at what you do the Commissioner of Police. All you tell she can't go to no office and don't do nothing. Why all you have Inboat still doing things we can't answer for $3 billion? What it is really going on in this country? Andy, Trinidad and Tobago, you see this man they call Newman George, from the time they put he in the oil business, that place get blight. Look how much debt it has. And the man is a blight. Newman George blight AGC up to now they can't catch themselves. And they put him in charge as chairman of the oil place. All these people supposed to be investigated, boy. Tomorrow rocket, we're going with the oil spill in Tobago. With the money they say they was to get from some company where they did fine and somebody was to get their money. With these things and them is, boy. We're going on in this country, boy, and everybody just lie back, boy. I just waiting, boy. I just waiting. God is great, Andy, welcome back out. Morning to Lennox, morning to Mickie. And I'm so happy to be seeing you, brother. You just watch the evil forces because plenty spiritual wickedness on this land. Look at what they do, all you watch it.
Yeah, thank you so much, caller. Oh boy, I'm Malcolm X, man. Good one.
Yes, indeed.
And I have
And if you don't have a call, I just want to say that again, in spite of all of that, there is of course a silver lining on the horizon. Kamala Prasad Bisasa and the UNC, as far as this matter is concerned, and the Trinidad and Tobago's reputation and our external or our diplomatic agenda or our position on geopolitics in the Western Hemisphere, because of course it was Kamala Prasad Bisasa who has already said that of course the persons who are undocumented in Trinidad from Venezuela will of course be deported back there. But more importantly, I think she had laid the foundation during the stint of the UNC between 2010 and 2015, when she, of course, Obama and the Prime Minister of Jamaica co-sponsored a resolution at the United Nations that is today, of course, a part of the, let's say, the laws governing upon anti-terrorism in the world. And of course, whilst that was happening, while she was, of course, in New York, in the United Nations, of course, signing on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago, so as to, of course, denounce terrorism across the globe, Rowley was in Santa Cruz at that time saying that, of course, she shouldn't do that because, of course, we are too small to engage, because when the elephants are engaged, the straw, the leaves.
Yeah, meaning you were saying that Faudo Cocoso go for party. Go ahead, next caller. Morning to you.
Oh, we have a caller. All right, go ahead. Yeah, we'll.
Pleasant good morning, Andy, and to the ground report, and to all listeners.
And we're calling from caller. Point 14.
This is point 14, Payal.
Go ahead, point 14, Payal.
Andy, I want to touch on this 4 things quickly. One, where the Commissioner of Police is concerned, that whole bacchanal or that whole wahala taking place. I have said on one of my lives, the information that I received, that there are junior officers that was taking instructions from politicians and businessmen without the knowledge of the Commissioner of Police. So this is not something that happening now, right? So Ulada stepped into something that was going on a long time, right? And it just get worse with her because they only put her there so that they could continue doing what they do, because they know she's a very quiet person and she loves God, so they use that to take advantage of her and the office of the Commissioner of Police. So this is beyond her. 2, we are now hearing, and it is alleged, that certain persons, a certain member of Parliament lost their life, and it is now come over as foul play. So let me say it for what it is now. It is considered that some, and I said this on one of my lives, that some member of Parliament will be executed. So here we are now in Trinidad and Tobago, where we are seeing political executions. 2, this whole oil bunkering thing go further than we could even think about. And yes, their hands are involved, because when that ship was found, that was leaking oil in Tobago, I came up on my live and I put all where the currents were coming from, and that ship could have never come from in that direction. We knew exactly where the ship was coming from, but we could talk about that at a later date. And the next thing I want to close with all what is being said and done here, there are persons in Trinidad and Tobago where the resources of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is being used to tap the phones of certain persons in this country. You can't even say, let me come and talk something on Facebook, YouTube. You are being monitored. I have been witnessing a number of vehicles park up outside by me while I on my live. And I shoot a call, and in 2 twos I get to know who is who. And then I set on the live one time, and then all of a sudden you see the car move off. My wife and I was in Port Spain, and I catch people taking photographs of me. So I have to come on my live and let them know where I worked before, what I was doing, how much time I spent out in the Middle East, and I never worked for Trinidad and Tobago government. But because of what Mr. Manning put in place, we had was to do what we had was to do. And I will leave it there because it have more to come out. There's plenty going on in this country, Andy, and callers, and to all the persons that are listening, and I have said it before. this present administration, they're not right here, you know. Everything that all the other administration have never done from 1956 to now, this present administration, they are doing it. So who want to keep the eye closed and ball the red till they're ready? Or the red or this PNM till they're dead? I want them hurry up and dead quick so that we could get some stability in this country. And that's it. So you all continue to have a blessed one. Keep the work up. And we will chat again, Andy. God bless.
Thank you very much. Oh boy.
Frank talk. Bad manners. Frank talk. Yes, indeed.
Let me take some other more calls.
I was more frank than that.
The lines are open, Trinidad and Tobago. Eh? What's your front burner? What's your issue? What's supposed to make news that not making news? Come on. Let's hear what you, the people, have to say. So okay, go ahead and call. Let me give all the numbers. Boy, I get one headache. I take some tablet there. The thing like you wanna go now. 225-6644, 225-6644, or 239-5120, 239-5120. Okay, we have WhatsApp call at 366-3053, 366-3053. The lines are open. Like Raul them walking over and me, boy. With the help, I find like a sicky these days, you know. Me understand this, you know. Like it's over walking on the pitbull hour. Oh God, boy. Yeah, boy.
You have a caller?
Yeah, we have a caller.
Go ahead, caller.
Caller, go ahead.
Hello?
Caller.
Yes. Right. Andy?
Yeah.
Lennox? To the phone here again, fellas. Now, I don't know. Let's only watch the Monday night meeting, UNC Monday night meeting last night. You hear me, Andy?
Venezuela is taking back migrants that the Trump.
Yeah, we hear you.
Right. And in that meeting last night, I think Saddam Hussein mentioned the person who will be spearheading the CARICOM committee to oversee the election, the observers, is not a person than the wife of the Attorney General, Reginald Hammer. You understand? Because she's, I think, the secretary, right, in CARICOM. And she will be here, you know, to as heading that mission. And that is a conflict of interest, Lennox and Andy.
Yeah, when I heard it, I was appalled. I was appalled, and it resonates with Rowley's insistence that only CARICOM observers he is prepared to accommodate. We have a job to do. All the other international organizations must be here, as Kamala Prasad-Bissessar has already indicated that she has communicated some 16 of them. But the Carter Foundation, those connected to the UN, and those connected to Europe, we need to, of course, send them correspondence as well as the citizens who are very concerned with, of course, the interference by Rowley of the two elections so far that has resulted, of course, in a questionable victory for the PNM. Go ahead.
All right, Lennox, let me make the next point now. The boat get away from the boat get away from the rope with the drifting vessel with the dead bodies and things. And that just disappeared. Now, why I'm saying this, I was watching the news last night, and I saw the brother of that guy who, with the oil rig that crashed. He was crying. And you know what he said? They were told that, they don't have the technology and things to locate the body, which they believe could be trapped in the rubbles and in the oil rig. Yeah. And that most likely they're saying that they will have to get technical assistance of outside with international thing to do some thing and to see if they can recover if the body is trapped underneath. And they said quite in March, so they're actually playing the game for something for this body if it is trapped there to deteriorate that, and that is it. But what I am asking the question is this, Lennox. Mm-hmm. We have modern technology in the world, and I'm sure this is thing that if you don't want to risk the lives of sending people down there to go down and look for and do inspection and whatnot within the confines of the rig for safety risk factor. But can we have cameras and things? We have underwater cameras.
Yeah, we have we have things you don't need to go. You can stay on the surface, and of course the technology is such that you can search without having a man to go in some mini submarine, as the case may be. Submersible equipment, yeah.
How come it is that I have not heard that suggestion coming from nobody from within the energy sector? And you see, I will tell you something. You see, the same players who were these divers and them in thing with the energy sector with Mustaq Mohammed and all the rest of fellas and with the parafuel thing. All these fellas and them, this part of a conspiracy with this government that any incident of this nature with the energy sector and this thing, them fellas and them, this is a hush-hush, you know. Because I can't see how the hell you go tell me if only trying to recover this body. And only will tell me, only after we know in February, and tell me, and from then to now, only send down no cameras, and only I seek technical assistance from outside with cranes and whatnot, and then, you know, people in the professional field to see if only could locate this body using cameras and whatnot. And how come it is? I mean, I read the ordinary layman. And if we could suggest that you send down on the submarine thing or you have underwater cameras and all of that, you know, just like how you have drones and whatnot, and scanning on any damn thing to see if you see the thing, how come we ain't nothing like that? I'm telling you, these people on them, Rowley, according to Mr. Lynch, Jerome Lynch, in the investigation, the Commission of Inquiry, this is what you have to charge people for. What manslaughter you call it? Calculate, you know. Corporate manslaughter.
Corporate, yeah.
All of these fellas on them. All of these fellas on them have to be facing in court. And one of the things that I said, I have no sympathy for Ola, Christopher. Because if it is that the law lords of Britain, I'm telling you, the Privy Council was telling you, how come there is no investigation into the Minister of Finance, but and you didn't even bother to effect that the thing? When $3.something billion is missing from our treasury, and Rowley and them are making no thing about it, it means all of them involved in this. Rowley and Stuart Young and Imbot and all of them, this share that's spoiled. And Ola Christopher, you had the responsibility. You, the DPP, all you should have a launch an investigation into this thing already. But all they didn't do nothing because all they didn't rock the boat because all is PNM. But you see, I tell you, the thing hit the fan now. And it has created international scandal. And you will see quick, they hurry to want to do this and they want to run. But one of the important things I was reading with the letters that were sent to the president with Ola Christopher to revoke her appointment and whatnot. There's a question that we asked. Could the Police Service Commission now, the Police Service Commission, go to the president and retract that letter now? Huh? You know, at least
but there is a nuance that may have been overlooked, and that is the investigation is still ongoing. That is the phrase, that is the clause that of course would they will defend themselves with in terms of their action. Because today is deciding day, you know. Today is D-Day.
Yeah, but isn't the Police Service Commission is charged with the responsibility of, you know, hiring, firing, investigation, or anything of the police service? Huh? And we're not hearing anything coming from them. They said that the police themselves, Suzette Martin, who was responsible for bouncing on a little boy on the bus route, which she had no authorization to use. And then secondly, her involvement in the kidnapping, the hijacking of Brent Thomas from Barbados. Huh? And you using these people, and more so, promote her when you had these pending charges. And when the question was posed to Dr. Rowley, I think it was Dr. Munoz in the parliament, how could you promote somebody to that position when you have pending matters in court and whatnot? And you know what Dr. Rowley's response? You have people on the opposition, and you would refer to David Lee with some vehicle matter. We have people on the opposition who have charges against them and still sitting in this parliament. This is to show the level of ignorance
and arrogance of this Prime Minister. And all of them have to have a thorough investigation. But who going to investigate them? Because the whole thing and where the legal thing is concerned, all of them is PNM. All of these one family. And as Shadow say, scratch me back for me. So this ain't going nowhere. It ain't going nowhere. And they're going to continue to make excuses to defend themselves and their cohorts who they find in conspiracy. But this is going to hit the fan. And you see this energy thing, I beg you to call Kevin Ramrine or call Dr. Munilal. Or if anybody is listening and could get a message to them, let them call in on this program. This is too much of an important issue.
Thank you very much. Next caller.
Of course, you must factor in
Morning, caller.
Kamala Prasad UNC administration. They will be investigated. I assure you of that. And they have better lawyers.
Morning, caller.
By far. Good morning. Good
Good
morning,
morning to the Magnificent Free. Good morning to the Magnificent Free. Now, get this down. This Ola thing going on too long, because I'm going to tell you something. From the time Ola was put there as commissioner of police, I was against that because she was wrongly put there. Let me get it straight, right? Remember what happened to Gary Griffith when Rowley say he have no confidence against Gary, and he write it to the PSC, the Police Service Commission. He write to the president and whatnot. They put Gary to act, and they send him on leave one time. Then they put McDonald Jacob, right? And when Gary time up, he was coming back, Heinz tell him, listen, you have to stay out still. Gary carried them before the court. And the court say that the Police Service Commission have no authority in putting anybody to act as commissioner of police. Okay? And then Rowley them take it up. Right? And they put Ola. They dropped McDonald Jacob and they put Ola. Ola had 3 months to go to retirement age. And then they give she 1 year extension. For me, that was wrong. Because a person reached the 6th year, let her go home. Then, when Ola do she first year, and the media asked Ola a question, how you feel you do in the first year when it had 575 murders? Ola Christopher said, excellent. And she jumped in a car when they asked the question and she just drive away on them. Remember, the media come like the people at Trinidad and Tobago. They asked the question on behalf of us. And she showed them dissent. Like if them is nothing. And she drive away and left them. Right? So now, when this thing come and happen now, I call that karma. Showing she out now is very excellent for me because that's the word she used. I just give you it straight. When I could go to tell you everything this Rowley do, he do it in favor of he. Check the Governor General. Right? The Governor at the Central Bank. When he would fire him, you feel that was right? It was wrong. He gets 5 million for that. You feel it is right what they do with the EBC to put a member of the PNM needs they say to be chairman? You feel that is right? You feel it was right to take Christine Kangaloo from the belly of the PNM and make she president? You feel that was right? Do you remember when you go and you take the merit list and everybody resigned? You feel that was right? You see what going on with the Integrity Commission chairman? When you want to investigate him, you remove him and put our next man. You feel that was right? You feel it was right that 4 people they let die in our pipeline and Stuart Young say a word Minister of National Security, not even Rowley? They spend so much money with the commission an inquiry and the family again nothing. You feel that right? It had nothing right when it come to Rowley. So that's why me is sorry for Ola. Because Ola become part and parcel of that. You know how a wrong thing take place in this country? Why Ola was there? She investigating anything? Nothing. So he let she go. And she will be up in 3 months' time when in any case they wasn't going to put she back. So that is both of one feather flocks together. And what you saw is what you're going to reap. So we want to defend Ola and defend Ola. If Ola was put there rightfully, I would have defended her. But wrong is wrong. So just like how they put she wrong, they moving she wrong, I for that. Let Ola go home and take she time and put up she foot because you're 61 years. Now you just know you'll be 62. What you doing there? We must say the right thing and the right thing. Rowley and them doing the thing. And anybody going with Rowley right now, under Rowley with this kind of condition, doing as Rowley say. So me, I have nothing to say on that. But what I'm going to say now is that how they put Stott Young now as leader. And Stott Young is a man worse than Rowley. I want people to understand. He keep out Trinidad from coming here in the COVID. Man suffering. They on that bus, they on that pavement, they on that flyover, they sleeping there, and no food. Other country had to keep them there. Why is they can't even come in their own motherland?
Yeah, but,
with a neighbor string berry.
But you mentioned Ola and people being sorry for Ola. Who's sorry for Ola? I'm not sorry for her.
No,
not sorry for her. I don't think anybody in the court is sorry for Ola. Whoever's sorry for Ola may be people within the PNM circle that know that Ola Bakanan and Ola stupidness is because all the things that you explain. How she reached there, how this, how that, the merit list, all them things.
Yes.
I don't give one damn about Ola. Whoever gone she should look for that. Because she was there, she was in the position of police commissioner, and if it is she has she duties to execute, she should execute it with all bassness. Not be a fiddle for the politicians. And the same fiddle, which is the politicians, turn around now and biting she. So she's a fool.
Exactly
and I'm not sorry for she.
Yes. People, what I'm going to tell you there?
What we highlight is the process and to show up the PNM as to how nasty they are and how biased they are. When they target someone, they use all kind of flimsy and nebulous excuses in order to get there, because it is important that we highlight that to show that they ought not to be in office. An election should have been called already, and that the population would be fixated on getting them out by when they go to the polls. Every single constituency in Trinidad, of course, a vote in favor of the UNC and Kamala Persal-Bissessa.
That's what my colleague is saying. Otherwise, we have to organize, and he's showing you all the pattern. Same pattern where they went down with the merit list and Gary Griffith is the same thing. The pattern they're going down with Ola. That don't mean say we sorry for she. We just showing how dangerous stink and the mafiosi code is when it comes to the PNM, Papa. But you go ahead, caller.
That is what I show you, right? I'm going to hear with this Stott Young thing there, right? Stott Young is a man never even go and say nothing about the people in the pipeline. And for me, I call that murder. That is what I will say. Because you will tell me what kind of people will know that 4 men will die in a pipeline and they send nobody to rescue them. And you must study that a rescuer might die than who might surely die if you are rescued them. You know what kind of mindset is that? Today I am a fella grieving for that. And I just study, you know why I just grieve for that? I just put myself in them people's place. Although they die now, you know what they go through before they death, brother? To remain in that oil and take that kind of pressure before death come? I don't think any of us want to experience something like that before we dead. Trust me. Let me tell you one thing. Every morning when you get up, you must drink a glass of warm water before you eat anything. Right? And whenever you get in that headache, brother, if you have Bengal balsam, rub it under your feet, under the sole of your feet. Right? And that will help you. I don't want you to be sick, brother. I want you to be well because we have to face this onslaught. And you have to be strong because you have to walk around in this country. So, brother, I'll pray to God for it, but do them two things, I tell you. And I feel really better. Good day, sir. I'll leave them off the air.
Thank you.
I want you to be aware because we have to face this monster. I have to be strong because you have to walk.
I don't know if there's a... Oh, God. Is it difficult? So don't forget it. Numbers to call. Numbers to call, of course, 225-6644. 225-6644. 239-5120. 239-5120. And of course, if you want to leave us a voicemail, then of course you WhatsApp only, of course, 366-330-53. 366-3053 is of course the WhatsApp number where you would be able at your convenience to leave a voice message for us, and we will play them without reserve. So that is the situation. Of course, I was making the point earlier that we have a saving grace, so to speak, in Kamla Prasad Bisesa and the UNC in this matter of poor diplomatic relations and the paucity of diplomacy, common sense, and of course the scuttling of our regional, hemispheric, and international relations agenda that the Rowley administration has, of course, poisoned against, of course, crucial neighbors and crucial, of course, relations with other countries because of their own policy, particularly in relation to Venezuela. And I was making the point that the saving grace, the salvation comes because of between 2010 and 2015, the initiative taken by Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Obama, who was then President of the United States, and the Prime Minister then of Jamaica, co-sponsoring a resolution against, with respect, of course, to anti-terrorism across the globe. And Trinidad and Tobago has benefited from that in more ways than one. But also, of course, at the same time, while that was happening, Rowley was opposed to that. That's the point I was making at the time. Rowley was opposed to it, saying that, of course, see these countries as, of course, talking about the Middle East countries, China, Russia, even Venezuela, that, of course, you mustn't get involved. You mustn't get involved because they are elephants and we are the grass. And when they begin to fight, they trample on us, and we will be none the better for it. But of course, when he gets into office now, he of course engages, of course, in the most rambunctious, in the most, should I say, nincompoopish, in the most, of course, inimical foreign policy that, of course, has jeopardized Trinidad and Tobago's not just its sovereignty, and I say so because of the influx of Venezuelans here that was allowed, but of course because of the relationship that they would have scuttled with the United States and of course our respective allies in the democratic world. It has nothing to do, of course, with CARICOM.
Hold on a minute, let me just take some, we just try to clear up some of these lines.
We have a call?
Yeah, go ahead, caller.
Go ahead, caller.
Morning. Andy.
Good morning.
Andy. Lennox, how you doing, man?
Yeah, man, go ahead.
Good.
Hey, good morning, man. I had to call you today, boy. You see how we just think alike? But go ahead.
Yeah, we think alike, Lennox. Yeah. I've been sitting down and listening a few days here, but I didn't really call, you know.
I know you're here for.
You know, I put holiday. Yeah. So Different portion alleged, I would say, all these things with the pipeline with the any money Trinidad and Tobago. Um this if Stuart Young could lock up his citizen of Trinidad and Tobago and have him sleeping on the street all about the place, and people have to take them in and elsewhere, what can he do with people trapped in the pipeline? And I believe it's alleged, and I would say accused, but I believe he called the shots and leaving people in pipeline. He's the man who did it, with nobody else. Oh, somebody will. No, it's obviously. And if he called that shot to do all things for the COVID, he can do anything else. The man is a heartless man. No? So somebody should be tried for murder for thing and later on look into it. So all the thing with Ola Christopher. With Ola Christopher, she should have known better than that. That he knew she should take up this position, that no rolling what he is doing. And she's the one that make the initiative to do that. So I like Andy what he said. I don't feel sorry for her. Whatever happened to her, she deserves it. Because you know what this man is doing. You know what he is doing. Now you went against him about the policemen who said, oh, they take off the light and things, and they was hiding. She went against that. So Rolly have all these things, anything against that man, and he think he's a dictator, he could do what he want to do, or tell people what he wants. But the police department should be a separation of power. And what he did, everything, what he's supposed to do, now what he do, like what he did to arrest Ola Christopher, the deputy commissioner, which is total foolishness. It's a no in the world that a deputy go arrest a deputy commissioner arrest Christopher, Ola Christopher. Should be somebody else in a higher place. You know what I mean? Nothing go like that. So I don't know what is going on. This place is very corrupted, You know what I mean? So I know you guys want to do, man. I just joined out there with the United States will do. If that's in the position, they will take that different way. So whatever happening there, she know what she's getting herself in. Like Andy say, whatever she gets into her, let her deal with it. You know what I mean? All right. And that's all I'd say.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You have another call?
Boy. Yeah, let's organize and play some let me organize and play some voice notes there too. It have a lot of voice notes.
All right, let's do that. The time check is just about 22 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock. So we have several minutes again on the show until 10 o'clock. So let's do our duty.
Good morning to the ground report crew. Andy, I really hope you feel better with that. And with that ailment, whatever is ailing you, we pray that God put his hand and heal you, right? But this is Maraval here. I want to ask a question to Tunapuna and, all the other persons outside there. Who's to say that Ola Christopher's dismissal was due to her having initiated things that have Mr. Imbert investigated? Who's to say that? Right? That she didn't start something. And the powers that be get the S and they decide here what's going on. We had to get that shit because she going on she going on thing, right? Have that investigation. I mean we already hearing allegations of foul play in the fire that claimed the lives of Lisa and Morris Julian and her family, her children, her two daughters. We already hearing that there was some allegations of foul play there. So who's to say that, all right, Ola Christopher probably would have started something to say, well, here we're going, let me do the investigation against Coleman Booth. And The powers that be get as somebody squeal, probably that same Suzette Martin, probably went and say here went and squeal to the government or whoever it is. And there are the people in the Police Service Commission who could have very well say, well, here what, we can't have that, right? Let we get rid of she and put somebody else there who we could control or manipulate as the case may be, and who go stop that. Who's to say that? Right? We gotta look at that, because it could happen. Now, that being said, you all have to look at the situation in other national security agencies as well, just such as immigration, where people who they don't want to put on top, they fabricating allegations against them and getting them suspended. And right now in immigration, right, a former deputy chief immigration officer, he retired last year, right, September. He retired, right? That was his birthday. He done turned 60. That's 4 months ago, right? And he is very good friends with the chief immigration officer and the deputies, the permanent secretary, right? And as I tell you, he retired in September. He get a contract to come back and do training. We have no immigration officers to train. There is no evidence that immigration is going to be taking in additional new officers to train in the near future, right? They are already short on staff and whatnot, and they bring back this man as a train and develop. They give this man a lucrative contract to come back and work in immigration, right? But he has been known to be a known PNM supporter, right? This is something that all you need to look at. It's not just in the police service happening. It's happening in immigration, right? The person that gets suspended in immigration was politically neutral, 1, and 2, right? He never used to stand up for nonsense, right? So look at that. They want to get rid of him because the chief immigration officer went and told the PS, I can't work with this gentleman, we gotta get rid of him. So said, so done. Same thing could happen to Erla, right? I have no beef with Erla, but at the same time, we don't know what really went on behind closed doors, right? Check that and see. All right, fellas, have a wonderful day.
Pleasant good morning to you, boy. You and the Lennox Smith, Mickie K, Shortman watching all in from Facebook. They ain't doing no OBM, man. There's a cold that going around. Everybody have it. I and all have it too. So I locked on and I watching. Don't feel I don't be watching all day, but I just don't say nothing. So pleasant morning.
Pleasant good morning. Andy, Lennox. Well, yeah, I guess we could surely say that maybe come next year, we don't want to hope and we don't want to wish and we don't want to do anything like that. But come next year, might have a world war, with too much attention in the world, with all the policies and things that are taking place. And, for fact, I just feel the way how things going, maybe by next year we should have the World War III starting, and we don't want that, but it's imminent. It's looking like it go take place, too much bosses in the world, and who want to be a boss want to take control of everything. So, but other than that, yeah, rightfully say the last caller was mentioning, that he was calling election before the boxers come in. So he was right. I guess he was right. And they're going to do it again. Even if they're losing, they're going to say they win. So to cause confusion. So, yeah, that is a tactics by itself. Because if you losing and you say you winning before anybody box come in and check and everything, they go dispute that, because you already say you're the winner and everybody go the bother to check no more boxes again because, and that go be after the fact. So I guess all that is part of the plan too. So yeah, let me focus, let me vote and let me get this thing going. We need to put things in place quickly and fast. Blessings, everyone.
Lennox, I don't understand these news reporters and then why do they ask the Jacka Young all those geography questions? The manager named Kampuki Zagara, why do the reporters then go after them and ask them and let the public hear how stupid they are and dotish? come on, you need to get a reporter who will stand up and answer the question and show them how they're foolish and stupid. Then later on this side.
Pleasant good morning to the young report, Tom, the young report family, team, and they continue to get well and stay strong. Lennox, Mikey, loving yours. What happened to Mr. Paul Spain? Is he around still? Anyhow, thank God because his contribution doesn't make sense. His contributions, in fact, doesn't make sense.
Andy, good morning to you, Mikey, Lennox, technicians, and everybody out there. Andy, last night meeting was great. Was really, really nice last night. Dr. Bodo raised a lot of health issues. And you know, Andy, all the things that he said, laid out plans and everything, you're going to hear people coming and asking, so what are they doing about health? What are they doing about this? What are they doing about that? And he talked a lot about especially cancer patients and what they are going to do for them and all this kind of thing. And you see, when people don't listen, they just come with ignorance. And I hope that a lot of people listen to what was said by Dr. Bodo last night. Secondly, Saddam Hussein, MP Saddam Hussein also revealed, right, that Reginald Amo's wife is on the committee, I'll say committee, right, is on the committee of the CARICOM observers. Now, that is a red flag. And that is why Mrs. Prasad Bissessar wrote the media, right, telling her, okay, Rowley wants CARICOM observers. We don't want CARICOM observers. We also want international and Commonwealth observers here in this country. Because we don't want a PNM party hack coming here observing no elections. We saw it in 2015, right? There were a lot of discrepancies, and the ones that came did nothing about it because they acted like a PNM party group. And we saw in the 2023 local government elections when CARICOM and them came here to campaign for Rowley. We don't want that. This election is too crucial to put it in the hands of CARICOM observers, especially with Reginald Amo, the PNM Attorney General wife, Elizabeth Solomon, sitting on that board. We don't want that, right? So I would, and I'm glad that Mrs. Prasad Bissessar wrote over 12 to 16 groups about the observers. Because we don't trust them, we don't trust the PNM, and we don't trust the EBC. Because the EBC is PNM party group number 1. Thanks a lot, Andy, and have a good Andy, good morning again to you and to everybody out there, Lennox, Mikey, and to everybody. I am asking a question this morning. Was Gilbert Peterson, the senior counsel who sat on the Lynch inquiry defending Parry and was paid $9 million in fees, is he the one that was doing the bunkering for Petrojam? Asking for a friend. You see how money just draw money? That's how Rowley makes the rich richer, if that is true. Because they say it was done through bunkering. And we know he got a bunkering license recently from the PNM government. There are more questions than answers. Thanks a lot, Andy.
Hey, good morning, Annie, Lennox, Mikey, and Ground Report family. This whole thing here, right, that exposed all the cracks and crevices.
Morning, Pastor John, morning.
All the breaches in the government, all the evil, all the corruption, the lies, the hypocrisies, the greed of Dr. Rowley, Stuart Young, and the rest of these guys. And Stuart Young said that it's not how he feels, it's how the nation is going to feel. Right? Let's take that in a proper context. Stuart Young will be more evil than Rowley. If it were possible, yes, it's possible. And what this whole debacle has done is shown that the government has collapsed. But not just the government has collapsed, the wicked, evil cult that is called the PNM has also collapsed. What amazes me is how these so-called Pentecostal people and Christians could still support a party that is evil and corrupt and occultic, and you could see and sense all the evil that happens within the PNM. Nobody has a right within the ranks of the MPs or anything to even talk their mind and say what's upon their heart. When you could see big grown people like Penelope and all of them running and ducking and evading the media, it tells you that they are robots and automatons that are controlled by a higher power, which is not God, and which of course is evil. And none of them, even after leaving their political life, could ever still come forward and say, because they signed their name in blood apparently. And this has exposed the evil, the wickedness, the collapse of the PNM and the government of the day, of course, which is a PNM government. And by all means possible, we need to remove this government. Otherwise, we'll never know the truth about Emailgate. We'll never know the truth about the closing down of Petrotrin. We'll never know the truth about so many things with drugs and guns and illegal bunkering of fuel and all this kind of thing. We will never know the truth. And boy, the thing keeps going on and on, and there's an event. The country has an open opportunity to vote for change. I am fed up of this racist agenda that is being propagated even by the churches, that under the guise of religion, we know it's race they're talking about. Do not elect or do not vote for an idol worshipping government. But I'm saying to you today and all Pentecostal people, if you have to choose between an idol worshipper or a Satan worshipper, a devil worshipper, who you would choose, make your choice. And it's not about religion, it's who could manage the economy, who could be transparent, who could invest and attract, foreign investment. Our oil results are dropping. And if you cannot see that this nation is under a curse right now and under judgment, open your eyes to reality. And it's not just a matter of talking bad about your country. It's about talking the truth. The country is in a bad state. PNM cannot fix it. It will only go worse. They took a thriving economy and they brought it down to its knees. This nation is on its knees. And what do you do when you're on your knees? Call out unto the true and living God. If there's no change, this country is going to suffer and go down to hell, according to Mickie and go to hell in a gasoline-soaked paper bag. We need to change. We need to vote out this wicked and corrupt government now.
Well, if it is not truth, Lennox claim. Mr. Faizabad, you want to know if Dr. Rowley impregnated a school child? Let me ask you, is Kamla Prasad a lesbian?
Andy, Mickie, Lennox, Smith, and Tobago Central here. Good morning. Andy, it's time for we as a citizen in this country, Trinidad and Tobago, it's time to put pressure on the authorities for they to start to answer questions. It's long overdue that these people are getting away scotch-free with a lot of things going on in this country and a lot of things sweeping under the carpet. You understand? You see, just as the same way how they're putting pressure on Erla to investigate what? We Trinbagonians would like to hear what's going on with Stuart Young's stepdaughter, Alwari children, and all other ministers and family who is involved in things as well too. These people is not normal people to say, well, it's just anybody living in the country. These are people who running our affairs in this country. And their relatives is in part of all kind of thing. You understand what I'm saying, Trinbagonians? So, we need to get the real journalists like Akash, kudos to him Because right now he's the topless journalist in this country called Trinidad and Tobago. The man has asked the right questions to the right people. You see how it is when you ask them the right question, how there's good like the drinker dosa the drinker dosa this thing dumb. You understand? It goes silent immediately. You understand? So we need to start to put pressure on these people, and then just as we need to put a pressure, we need to put pressure on the government and let them know here we're going on all long talk. Short right now. We want to set a long talk. They said them thing gone. Right now, what we want you to do is to call a date for a general election in this country. You understand what I'm saying, Trinbagonians? We don't need no other long talk. We don't need no other this and that and the other. You could change. He could do what you want. Shuffle, buffle, muffle. We do business about that. What we need to know and we need to work on is getting rid of the PNM once and for all. We do not even want them to go as no opposition. We say it already and we'll say it again. We don't need PNM in any business again. And something I need to highlight earlier as well to Andy. You see all these ministry buildings and them. I would like earlier Lennox to please investigate. All these ministry buildings, they all have a landline. And let me tell you something, Andy, if you do get them on the landline, which is that the landline that's ringing, nobody doesn't answer. And if when they do answer, it's because the lines and them sounding like it have water on it. Right? And when you ask them the question, and when you go into person, when you ask them, here now, what going on with all your line? Well, we fed up complaining about it, and there's nothing that the government is doing about it. It's years now we complaining, and there's nothing being done about it. Trinbagonians, if you all have ever experienced that, you all could, enlightening and let them know about it as well too, because I'm telling you, this government is a real, by me, there's a real fraud, because these people and them saying they're spending X amount of money to fix this and fix that in this country, and Trinbagonians all know it all itself is a real lie. Just as how that is lie, mama guy and thief, just so is what they're feeding we with, but we so will how we good head on we body. They're careful we so. You understand? Them so will say to feed the animal. And when the animal, if the animal can only talk, they tell you, hey, we starving here right now. They to tell you the level of lioness and underneath rocket this PNM government is. So Trinbagonians, at the end of the day, we all know the problem is the PNM, and we all have to stay together and work together harder than before. The past 5 and 5 is 10. Harder than 10 years backwards. We have to fight harder in this country and get rid of PNM once and for all and mash them up politically. Yeah, why I telling you? I tell you right now, the own people take down the big PNM flag what they have in the yard and thing. And they telling only why I know. Me telling only why I don't know. Right? They say they can't believe what I'm supporting all these years. You understand what I'm saying? So let's spread that word within the country and let we get this thing up and running the right way. You understand? We don't say PNM nothing, fire blaze the PNM. Them done dead, waiting to be buried, rotten and forgotten in this country. Remember Trinbagonians, when they come in front of your place, run them like a mangy dog and tell them, gun get. And just remember, yellow is the code all the way. And it's that.
Good morning, ground report. I quote, "The people of Trinidad and Tobago are stupid. We have become famous for developing a new economical business theory. It goes like this. It is better to sell and get rid of what you have so you won't make money from what you manufactured. And then buy what you manufactured from an outsider neighbor and consider that as being generous to others, and God will bless you. For the thinkers, doesn't that look like the leaders of Trinidad and Tobago are capital S, capital T, capital U, capital P, capital I, capital D? Fellow citizens, we have to put our trust in God and lean not to our own understanding. Let us start to put all things in God's hands. As Kamala always said, put God in front and we will follow. He will lead and we will follow. But we have to go out in the communities and meet the people and interact with them and explain to them. Not everybody is of the same educational level. Not many people are thinkers. And our task is to do what we need the communities to know, the people to know, and leave the rest in the hands of God. Have a good day.
Great Rise, Andy and Lennox and everybody else. Andy, to drift from politics, right? The Great Wall is melting. The ice wall is melting, not the Great Wall. The ice wall is melting. So everything will be exposed eventually. I'm not worried because these evil people time are up, and they fully well know they time are up internationally, including Rowley and them. That's why they so desperate. Judgment is upon them. You know, like I said, the ice wall is melting, which is great. Who knows?
Good morning. Morning. First time caller. If I am to go after the Prime Minister of a country because of evidence that I think could sink the Prime Minister, I, as that aspiring Prime Minister, will seek the advice of 3 or 4 friends with me, 3 or 4 assistants with me, and get their advice to see if I have enough evidence before I go to make that move. And additionally, I will work with cameras. I will work with cameras and recorders to ensure that whatever I'm doing is the correct thing. When I reach in that area, and after that session, only to find out that I was lacking. I did not have enough evidence. You know what that makes me? It makes me an incompetent person. You know what it makes the 3 other people with me? They are equally incompetent to fill that role of Prime Minister. That is my take on it. I am from a country called Mamoral. Thanks.
All right, so what we gonna do now? I feel we gonna organize now and take some. Oh, now I have about 2 more voices now. Seriously.
Andy Stewart Young is defending Peria, buying fuel from Jamaica, saying it's bringing in vital foreign exchange. Well, if that's the case, how come people and businessmen can't get any of that foreign exchange, Stewart Young? And the PNM shut down the Petrotrin refinery because it was not making money, but Jamaica has no oil. But they are making money with their refinery, and Trinidad can't. This is because of this non-performing, lazy PNM government who have continued to fail the good people of TNT. For 10 years, they have failed to fully diversify the economy, and now TNT is in major debt. That it will take generations upon generations to pay it off. The handwriting is on the wall for the PNM. They must emit office whenever the next general elections are called, and never forget that. So Andy, let's all continue working together to remove this wicked PNM government. When the UNC wins, you win, people. Remember, yellow is the code. And let's be safe out there today, friends. This is what happens to you when you have been eating truckloads of Dorish biscuits for the last 10 years under the PNM government.
And it's the same mistake people want to make in this country by putting a government who never won their citizens something different. And it's same mistake. They go on to making sure that put that camera to start the test time power. Thinking that
Don't forget, of course, the numbers to call 225-6644. 239-5020. 366-3053 for WhatsApp. Only WhatsApp, and of course, for voicemail.
Order Spain, this is what you really sound like on the ground report show.
All right, so he sounds like a donkey. That's what you're trying to say, and otherwise. Let's just finish his voice note.
But I would prefer to use a synonym, which is an ass.
All right, let me finish off. Just one more thing.
Andy, good morning. What I want to find out is that if Suzette Martin is going to investigate Imbert for all the money Canada account for, the $2.6 billion. So, or she get a bribe that she wouldn't investigate him. The law lords in England said that he's supposed to be investigated for wrongdoing. And what's she waiting on? Because she is the one that is responsible for arresting Ola. So she better get up herself and face the music. Go after him, but and arrest him for the $2.6 billion that he can't account for. Or you get a part there. Thanks. Andy, morning. I want to ask the Port of Spain if he finished break. The guy behaving like a donkey. One a rowdy donkey. Andy, Port of Spain boring this morning because he ain't get no grasses yet. Or he ain't get no Valdivia juice to drink. So he boring.
Oh, Lord.
Order Spain, this is what you really sound like on the ground report show.
All right. So Trinidad and Tobago, let me just take a few of it. 8 minutes to the hour, right? As I say, the program was really good today. Not as upbeat as many of you always wants it to be. Not all the time Lennox will be 100 or I will be 100. But at the end of the day, the program must go on. So the lines are open. We're going to just take about 2-3 more calls and look to wrap up until tomorrow. Please, God. Okay, Trinidad and Tobago?
I think the program was jam-packed as usual.
Yeah, it was jam-packed. Real jam-packed.
New information. New
callers too.
New perspective. New callers. And that has only been because of the attractiveness of the program, simply because we speak nothing but the truth and only the truth. And I think, and we can prove it simultaneously. So I think that is the big difference between this and any other program, because we showed you the geography that makes it impossible for any diversification to take place the way how this man has pronounced. One, and of course we have shown the position of Jamaica, and of course any ship coming through the Panama Canal, leaving Panama and entering of course the Caribbean Sea, the shortest distance is Jamaica, and they have a refinery, and therefore the bunkering fuel that they want will of course be cheaply available, but at the same time cutting the distance to the United States or Canada or Europe, going into of course the Atlantic Ocean. So we gave you a piece of geography as well to show that is nonsense. Stuart Young and Rowley has been projecting to us. And worse yet, the question of tourism or pleasure boats coming to Trinidad is also pie in the sky talk, because simple Grenada and of course these other islands north of us have more tourists
than in Trinidad. Hold 1 minute, Lennox. Go ahead, caller. Short and sweet.
Good morning to the ground report. Protocol is observed.
I want to digress a bit here. A man cannot do the job that is given to him. The Minister of Finance are talking to him there. He cannot do the job. He can go on holiday so he can't catch up with the job. But you know, he take up another job where money is concerned again as chairman of some, I can't recall the name of the thing. But he take up a job as chairman. But he can't do the job that we pay him to do. You know? So I just have to digress and to, rain on that. But to go, along with the rest of them though. Yeah? Okay, that's my bit for the day, boy.
Thank you very much. Next caller, morning.
Hey, Andy, morning.
Go ahead.
Short Young went to school in August way. That's all I could say. Anybody know the geography, right? Know how to get to the Panama Canal. I know where Panama is. What crap that man talked this morning. It's a good thing they're not going to straighten down them fellas. They don't have a run in the country. I want to talk about the sea now. But you're a maritime expert. You don't have a damn thing. I'm glad they're not there to fix them good. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you. Oh boy. Go ahead, caller, morning. Short and sweet.
Good morning, Professor Andy and Assistant Professor Smithy and Mickie. No. This is directly to Assistant Professor Smithy there. Smithy, I had an opportunity to look at the Firearm Act 1601. Me is so bright, me is so brilliant, but I know to read and write, and I know I pass my CA, my maths and my English, unlike Fitzy and I think Balmati. And in that regulation, that act, there is no way in that act I'm seeing that a sniper rifle is a prohibited. And I would like somebody to call on the program and identify the section that shows or tell us that sniper rifles are prohibited rifles. Because I was amazed, I might be wrong, I might be taking the man for undervaluing his contribution. And ACP, I think is of operations, on another show that yesterday evening say it is a prohibited rifle. If he is right, okay. But if he's wrong, like from my investigation, I think he doesn't deserve to be elevated. He has to go back to training school and be trained how to ride on a horse. You know, Fitzy was an instructor for that part of the police service, the mounted branch, because that cringes me. I might be wrong, but I think we should ask callers to tell us, the lawyers who call into this program, to identify which section that shows that the sniper. And once we clear up that issue, all this money we're going to spend on lawyers and things like that for the COP earlier and prosecution is null and void. That is why the DPP running DCP INI, the IRI police, senior police officer, INI man, INI lady, the IRI lady, because they cannot fit a square peg in a round hole with respect to evidence. If you can't connect it to show it's a prohibited, everything falls apart. And no matter what they try to do, what they want to do is to root her out of office because they have egg in the face from the Ravi Bargobin judicial review that went up to the Privy Council. They win the fight, but they lose the war. I go and have a nice morning.
Thank you. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Time check, it's 2 minutes to the hour of 10 o'clock. And you're listening and viewing the Ground Report on Real Media TT and on Dial the Caribbean, Dial Trinidad and Tobago all over. Lennox Smith, what tell me short and sweet about tonight's call.
Yeah, tonight, but let me just conclude quickly that, of course, Kamala Prasad signed that anti-crime, and therefore Trinidad and Tobago will be the beneficiary thereof, and therefore will have a better relationship with any administration that comes into the United States, and therefore in our interest. That's the point I am making, and therefore is another reason why Kamala Prasad and the UNC must get 39 seats in Trinidad. Of course, Laventils, you must be a part and parcel of history in this on the right side of history on this occasion. Tobago has already, of course, spelled disaster for the PNM, and therefore, of course, they will do their part in terms of expelling the PNM. The opportunity now is rife and near and inevitable.
Nice.
For the 39 seats to go in the hands of the UNC and whatever configuration for the elections that they will come up with.
Nice.
Go ahead,
and only don't forget tonight, let me just take this last call. Short and sweet. We only have exact about 30 seconds caller. Go ahead.
Yes, Andy, Central here again. So, just for short and sweet, I would like to know which country have two ministers, two national security ministers. Imagine Trinidadians. This place is a total chaos, madness. None don't know which one how to address the country because none don't know the foot from the elbow. What a shame. Our country is a big joke. Imagine that Trinidadians are telling me PNM run over their dead self. Go so PNM nothing. Yellow is the code. Honest that.
Thank you very much. So Trinidad and Tobago after God family comes first. Be safe on the nation's roads. And don't forget, I think tonight will be corridor tonight corridor transmission at 8. And the observers with Mickie at 7, but I think that I rerun yesterday, so I'm not too sure because I don't think Mickie well, you know. I don't think he is well. But I will try to find out today. I will try to get on to him today. I was trying to get on to him yesterday afternoon, but it wasn't fruitful. Oh boy. So earlier until tomorrow morning, please God, right here. Hope I'm feeling a lot better to give all of that energy that you all always long for. All of the program was 100% despite of what? With the information that was disseminated to you all by my co-host Lennox Smith and myself. So we are out of here until tomorrow morning, please God.
Mickie K, Andy Williams, and Lennox Smith.
Bang, 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 bang.